PCLaptops.com. At PC Laptops, we really do love you.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. This is KSL News Radio, Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good morning. KSL News Time is 5 o'clock. This is Utah's Morning News. I'm Amanda Dixon. Tim has the day off. KSL's top story this hour. Much of southern Utah is under a red flag warning today, with hot temperatures and strong winds in the forecast. KSL News Radio's Adam Small begins our live team coverage Utah Fire Watch. Adam?
Amanda, this affects Washington, Iron, Beaver, Millard, Juab, Kane, and Garfield counties, as well as the Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. Nicole Dismet with the National Weather Service tells me, along with hot temperatures, they're forecasting winds up to 35 miles an hour in spots and very low humidity.
Which means any fires that do start in those areas are likely to spread very quickly.
People are encouraged to first follow local fire restrictions, but some good rules of thumb: don't park your car on dry vegetation, secure your load, and fully put out your campfires. Live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Stage 1 fire restrictions are beginning across several counties in northern Utah today. KSL News Radio's Michael Commute continues our live team coverage Fire Watch. Michael?
Amanda, these counties include Utah, Salt Lake, Tooele, and Weber County. In essence, Stage 1 restrictions are trying to limit the chance a fire could start while you're out recreating. Specifically, this prohibits lighting fires outside of designated zones, smoking outside of enclosed areas, shooting off fireworks or tracer rounds, or running small engines without a working spark arrestor. That includes ATVs. These rules won't apply to incorporated cities or towns, but Fire Management Officer Justin Richards says the risk for wildfires is the highest it's been over the past 3 years right now. Reporting live, Michael Commit, KSL News Radio.
Fireworks will be legal to light starting tomorrow. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr reports.
Statewide safety rules for using fireworks this week include obeying local laws, always having water handy, and never reigniting a dud firework. State Fire Marshal Ted Black says one of the best things you can do is use common sense.
There's injuries every year by somebody doing something that sounds like a good idea at the time, but clearly good common sense would tell you is not. Follow the rules, and remember that choosing the professional show is always a better option.
He says if you start a fire by not following the rules, you can be held accountable for the cost to fight the fire and the cost for all the damage it causes. Local rules and legal areas to light fireworks can be found on your city's website. Alessandra Gurr, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories this hour. We are watching for news from the Supreme Court this morning. The court is expected to release an opinion on whether the president has immunity for official actions taken while in office. ABC's M. Nguyen has more from Washington.
In oral arguments earlier this year, the conservative justices seemed open to allowing some form of presidential immunity. Much of the oral argument centered around what constitutes as official versus a private act. The justices hinting they might send the case back to the lower court to sort that question out.
The ruling could determine if former President Donald Trump will be immune from charges related to the January 6th Capitol riot. A longtime ally of former President Trump reports to prison today after having been convicted on contempt of Congress charges. ABC's Mike Dubusky.
Steve Bannon says he expects to see a landslide win for Republicans this November, telling ABC's This Week.
We have a 100% certainty we could beat Biden and beat him big. Take the Senate and pick up seats in the House.
Bannon was convicted of a felony in 2022 for failing to cooperate with a congressional investigation into the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Last week, the Supreme Court denied Bannon's request to remain free while he appeals that conviction. He's been sentenced to 4 months in prison. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Police in Saratoga Springs are looking for a thief who stole a woman's wallet at a restaurant by sliding the victim's purse out from under a table with her feet. KSL TV's Brianna Chavez met with Jade Lucero, who was out with her mother when it happened.
We were about finished, and my mom reached down to grab her purse because we were getting ready to go. And she looked inside and saw that her wallet wasn't in there.
Surveillance footage from the restaurant shows the alleged suspect reach down to pick up the purse and retrieve what Jade says was her mother's wallet, then kick it back.
She says the suspect made charges on stolen cards from the wallet worth hundreds of dollars. A similar theft with a similar suspect description happened at a Riverton restaurant in December. First look traffic now on a Monday morning, and Andy Farnsworth is back. How you doing, Andy?
Good, Amanda. It looks like a little bit of traffic slowing as you go through lane restrictions. Only one right lane open heading west on I-80 out of the canyon from coming down from Parley Summit. But in the valley itself, I-15 looking good and no crashes on city streets as of yet. I'm Andy Farnsworth at the KSL Traffic Center.
You're likely spending more time in traffic compared to last year. A new survey compared travel times along the Wasatch Front and found that they've increased.
Count up every minute you spent delayed in traffic last year. Traffic analyst company INREX says for the average driver, that adds up to 23 hours. And that's up from 19 hours just a year earlier. Transportation analyst Bob Pisher says you can thank population growth.
So if you have too many people trying to drive on a freeway at a certain time, that creates congestion. More people than the freeway is designed to accommodate.
And because time is money, Pisher says those 23 hours lost in congestion last year adds up to $400. And that's not just the gas you're burning sitting on I-15. That's money you could have been making on average if you weren't just sitting there. Amy Kobabe, KSL News Radio.
Airlines are already playing catch-up for early holiday travelers. More than 1,000 flights were canceled this weekend due to severe winds. Passengers at Hobby Airport in Houston say it was a mess.
Experience was not very pleasant, not very comfortable.
Especially for this time of day, it was pretty good for us.
The AAA estimates more than 5.7 million people will be flying this week. Hertz says the cities with the highest number of cars being rented include Dallas, Denver, and Salt Lake City. Hollywood had another good weekend thanks to the continued success of a movie about teenage emotions.
Box office champ Inside Out 2 three-peated this weekend with $57 million.
And things couldn't be better.
Leading the summer box office rebound, the new Pixar sequel has made $469 million domestically and cracked $1 billion worldwide, becoming the first film since last summer's juggernaut Barbie to do so.
We can help each other. We have to get out of the city.
In a strong second place was A Quiet Place Day One, silencing $53 million for the weekend.
That looks like a promising place. The place I might be able to see myself.
The third spot belongs to Chapter 1 of Kevin Costner's Horizon, an American Saga, with $11 million. That's not great for the partially self-financed epic Western. I'm Kevin Carr.
Coming up, we'll get another look at traffic on your Monday morning. Looks like westbound lane restrictions on I-80 coming out of Parley's Canyon are in place, but no major issues on most of the freeways. We'll check at traffic and weather together coming up next.
Spend your workday with a talk show that makes you feel better about the news.
Debbie is the voice of reason, and Dave reminds me of my little brother. Well-spoken, and they're a great team together.
Dave and Debbie, live from 9 to noon, or podcast the show on the app for KSL News Radio.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
The light is fading, your hands are sore, and the last tool has been put away. Now is the time to feel the satisfaction that comes with a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hardworking tools at hardworking prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
I wish people would learn to come in sooner. Unfortunately, by the time they come in our stores, they're almost desperate. They've been struggling trying to find a solution for their problem. They're looking with hope in their eyes. You've got to be able to help me.
You're listening to Beth, an arch support specialist at the Good Feet store.
A construction guy comes in and told me, I'm afraid I'm going to get fired. My feet hurt so bad, I can't do what I need to do at work. You gotta help me. It's unbelievable how quickly the product changes some things for some people.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people live the life they love without letting their feet get in the way.
When you're able to help them work more efficiently, more comfortably, and they're back and doing things that they've been wanting to do, things that they've missed. I go home every day proud of what I've done.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
The Good Feet store. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeet.com.
We're watching the fire conditions around the state today. There is a red flag warning for the hot temperatures and strong winds, particularly in southern and central Utah. We'll stay on top of that for you throughout the day here on KSL. 5:09, traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Andy?
Amanda, we start off with traffic on the freeways in Salt Lake County in good shape so far. A little bit of heavy westbound 201 on the collector going from Redwood towards I-215. But the main flow just fine in both directions. And so far along Mountain View, Bangerter, no issues heading north. Heather?
Things looking great up through Weber and Davis counties as well. No problems southbound I-15 from Ogden to Salt Lake. That's about 30 minutes or less. You also have a good drive if you need to get to the airport using Legacy Parkway in the West Side Belt. Eric?
If you're coming through Parley's Canyon westbound towards the valley, you got one right lane available to you around the quarry as you get closer to the mouth of the canyon, but that's all. Everything else is restricted at the moment because of road construction. Doesn't really appear to be impeding the flow, not so far. I-15 Utah County, northbound, southbound, that's looking good. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
A nice reprieve from yesterday's 101. We're going for a high of 87 today, partly cloudy skies. Overnight, refreshingly cool, 62 the low. For tomorrow, sunny skies and 85 the high. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, let's see, 71 degrees. This is going to be an important day in the country because of the Supreme Court decisions that are coming down this morning. Of course, we're all watching for the decision that rules on whether or not a president has absolute immunity for any official action taken while in office. They've been hinting this morning, they being legal experts, that the decision might be very narrow, or it may actually kick a factual question back down to the lower court. So we'll watch that. There's another case, though, that we're watching, and that is the case that involves, there are actually two cases that were combined that involve the rights of social media companies. I guess these tech groups are challenging laws in Florida and Texas. The laws try to bar social media companies from banning users for their political views. So where is the First Amendment going to come down on that? We'll look for the decision after 8 o'clock, so be near your radio later on this morning. You can always stream us live at kslnewsradio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Donors choose. Support a classroom. Build a future.
Did you know that every year, public school teachers spend nearly $500 of their own money for student supplies? Let's do the math. That comes out to over $1.2 billion a year. And that's just not right. At Donors Choose, we want students and teachers to have the tools they need for a great education. And now, more than ever, they need your help. Here's what you can do. Go to DonorsChoose.org and choose from teachers' requests that support reading, math, science, history, and more. Once a request is funded, we'll take care of shipping everything directly to the teacher. It's that easy. You'll receive thank you letters and photos from students and teachers and a report of how every dollar was spent. Teachers' needs have never been greater. Learn more at DonorsChoose.org.
Donors choose. Support a classroom. Build a future.
Derek Overstreet, founder of the New Millennium Group. We're a financial planning firm. Listen, we're fiduciaries. We have advisors standing by right now to take your call. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370. The reason you're going to want to call is we're going to help you retire 3 to 5 years before you thought possible. Now, imagine how that would be if you could actually retire 3 to 5 years sooner than your plan was. The way we do this is by putting together a step-by-step plan, taking into consideration any rental properties that you have, any pension income that you have, your Social Security. Listen, we put that all together for you in writing. It will allow us to build your income based on inflation. You know, inflation has been rapidly rising. You and I both need a plan that whatever we start out our income at, in 5 or 10 years, we're going to need 40% more income. So if you're one of those people listening and you'd like a plan in writing, give us a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370, or go to utahsfinancialplanner.com.
KSL News Time is 5:14. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
Independence Day is just 3 days away. Fire officers reminding citizens of the rules to stay safe and that alcohol and fireworks do not mix. I'm KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr.
Second, a new study shows the average Utahn spent 23 hours stuck in traffic congestion last year. Third, traffic and weather together.
So far, no crashes. Lane restrictions, though, on I-80 as you come out of Parley's Canyon. Just waiting for those to open up. And no other slowdowns right now. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
A nice summer cool front will drop us to the 80s today. I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, 72 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. And time for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Former Trump aide Steve Bannon reports to prison today. He is to serve 4 months for refusing to cooperate with the congressional committee looking into the January 6th riot. The families of some of the hundreds of people killed in Boeing 737 MAX crashes are reacting to news that a plea deal is in the works that would avoid a trial.
I'm feeling denied justice.
Attorneys for the family say the proposed deal would allow Boeing to plead guilty to a conspiracy charge for misleading the FAA during its evaluation of the 737 MAX aircraft. That's the plane involved in the 2 crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia in 2018 and 2019. But under terms of the deal, Boeing would not have to acknowledge that its alleged conspiracy killed the 346 people lost in those crashes.
ABC's Allison Cossack. Boeing announcing a $4.5 billion buyback of the company it spun off 20 years ago as well, Spirit Aerosystems. Hurricane Beryl headed toward the Southeast Caribbean as a Category 3 storm. European Union regulators accusing social media giant Meta of breaching the EU's new digital rules by forcing Facebook and Instagram users to choose between seeing ads or paying to avoid them. This is ABC News.
Let's go in depth now. The Supreme Court will rule whether former President Donald Trump has presidential immunity from charges related to official acts while in office. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy joins me live. Is there a chance they won't reach that question, Stephen?
Anything's possible, Amanda. We don't know. But look, a lot of experts are pointing to one of the questions or one of the string of questions that was asked at oral argument in late April by conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett about private acts, and the Trump team conceding that private acts are not covered by any potential immunity. And that's where you wonder whether that's where the line might be drawn. What we don't know is whether and to what extent the court is willing to grant immunity to official acts. And that's the key question. And if the court issues a complicated ruling where it draws a line or says there's some sort of test that the lower courts should weigh or undertake before determining whether an official act is worthy or subject to prosecution, this could result in a lengthy back and forth, more appeals, and likely no trial before the election. So we'll have to see. There's really no way to know. All we can do is look back on the oral argument more than 2 months ago and assess the way certain judges seemed to be skeptical as they approached the question by virtue of the questions that they asked of the parties. And we can assume, but we'd be wrong in assuming too much. We have to be very cautious and wait for the opinion, which will come out in less than 3 hours.
I guess I'm struggling with understanding how if a jury found a criminal act, how could a criminal act ever be official?
Well, if it is undertaken while a president is in office, and if it's a sort of an act of the president as the head of the executive branch, directing others in the government to undertake an action, would that be an official act, or is that a private act? Is it to further his own private interest, or is it to advance the interests of the country? Is it within the bounds of what we understand the president's powers to be? If it isn't, these are questions that perhaps the court is wrestling with, and maybe it'll be clearer in the opinions, and I say opinions plural because I expect it will not be unanimous. I expect there'll at least be concurring opinions to further expand on what the justices are thinking, or likely dissenting opinions as well, which will get at how the justices disagree with one another.
Are you watching for any other cases today, Stephen?
Well, there are a couple of cases involving social media and efforts by Republican-led states, Florida and Texas, for example, to prohibit what they see as social media censorship. And that's the only other subject area that we're looking at today, which is expected to come. And I will tell you, my recollection of that oral argument was the justices were very skeptical of the idea that states had the power to direct what these social media companies can and can't do when it comes to content moderation.
Fascinating, Stephen. We'll follow your reports, and we appreciate your time. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News national correspondent. By the way, we will be watching those rulings closely and giving you the very latest in the 8 o'clock hour. So I would be close to a radio in the 8 o'clock hour to learn about these important decisions. That's the In-Depth at 15 and 45. 5:19 now. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And we go back to you, Andy.
Amanda, Salt Lake County still looking good on the freeways. I-15, 215, and the 201 freeway. 201 getting a little bit heavy around 8400 west. Now, good news, the ramp that was closed last night between 201 and I-80 from the semi-rollover, all of that is clear, so that shouldn't be an issue this morning. Heather?
No accidents right now through Weber and Davis counties. You've got good speeds on the city streets and major freeways. Starting to see a bit more traffic file into both the south and west gates of Hill Air Force Base, but so far no big backups in the area, and traffic is flowing freely on I-15, US 89, and Legacy Parkway. Eric?
Got a little bit of utility work apparently on Redwood Road in Saratoga Springs. This is heading southbound away from Pioneer Crossing. Not seeing any delays in that area, though. And I-15 looks great throughout the county. You also have road restrictions coming out of Parley's Canyon on I-80. Only the right lane is open as you work your way from the quarry to the mouth of the canyon. We'll keep an eye on that and see when the barrels get lifted up. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. Today will be delightful. 87 degrees, partly cloudy skies. We're down to 85, below normal on Tuesday, sunny skies. Back up to 90 on Wednesday, sunshine. Thursday, it's the 4th of July. I've got mostly sunny and a pleasant high of 87 degrees. 91 on Friday, sunny skies. 4th of July weekend, Saturday, Sunday, 94 and 97 with blue skies. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Boy, what a nice day we're going to have today and tomorrow. Not too warm, and it looks like it'll be relatively mild for July 4th. That's great. Right now it's 72 degrees, and the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. If you're not already signed up for the KSL text alerts, might be a good day to do that. And it's easy to do. You just text the word news, all by itself, N-E-W-S, to 57500, and then when a huge breaking story, like the decision from the Supreme Court later on this morning in the 8 o'clock hour, when a decision comes down, we will text you just the key portion of that, the key fact of that, direct to your phone, because you might not be able to be close to a radio at that time or be able to access it in any other way. So it's like we let you know about any big stories, if the freeway closes, that kind of thing, or if the Supreme Court rules on presidential immunity. So just text the word news to 57500. Coming up in just a moment, we'll get an early look at the markets and see how they're doing so far this morning. Money news just ahead.
Is arthritic joint pain keeping you from doing the things you love? Quality time with your family. That bone-on-bone pain in your knees or your hips or even your hands can really stop you from living your best life, and it's a great time to be alive right now with the new treatments that are emerging. There are exciting new cellular therapies that can get you lasting relief. QC Kinetics is helping patients like you every day with advanced regenerative medicine, and their treatments can actually accelerate your own body's healing properties, revitalizing your joints so you can move again. They are helping people all over the country and now here in Utah with locations in Mill Creek, Provo, Bountiful, and are ready to help deliver that relief and help that you need to get your life back. This is the future of medicine, and they are offering free consultations right now. So call QC Kinetics, 385-766-1987, 385-766-1987. It's QC Kinetics.
Hi, Doug Wright here with one more little experiment you can do at home. In a pan of water, all you have to do is stir in limestone, calcium, magnesium particles, and then heat that whole mess up on the stove. And you know what, on second thought, not such a good idea, because limestone, calcium, and magnesium particles heated in water will clump and stick to your pan like concrete, which incidentally is exactly what's going on inside your water heater. Think about it, limestone, calcium, magnesium, that's That's what makes hard water hard. And trust me on this, if you live in northern Utah, your home has hard water. So call Connecticut of Utah. I'll give you the number in a moment. They'll test your water's hardness for free, and they'll show you the patented design features that make Connecticut water softeners work better than any other. Connecticut of Utah, an authorized Connecticut dealer. To learn more, call Connecticut. It's 801-576-8600 or log on to softwaterutah.com. And call now while it's on your mind.
Tim and Amanda.
One of the things I love about radio is that we are all hearing it at the same time. One of the differences between that and just scrolling on your phone is that I don't know when that story was posted. Maybe an hour ago, maybe 3 days ago.
To your point about who wrote it, where did it come from, and is it dated information, our hope every day is that we can provide a more broad spectrum of information on a single topic that you can then take and make decisions on your own.
Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Watching Utah's Money, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. The impacts of streaming services are taking effect for Redbox. The company who owns the DVD kiosks is filing for bankruptcy, saying the profits are just not meeting expectations. It's grilling season, but fewer Americans are buying grills. High-end grill manufacturer Traeger is seeing a huge decline in sales. The company reported its latest profits at $76.8 million compared to its 2021 sales of $156.1 million a quarter. Despite all of its legal trouble, Boeing is now the owner of one of its major suppliers. The airline is buying Spirit Aerosystems in a $4.7 billion deal. Boeing says the merger will help boost safety. All right, let's get a look at your money at this moment and see what the markets are doing. Dow futures are up 80. That's about 0.2%. We're at 39,549. The S&P is up 13. That's about 0.25%. NASDAQ is up 48. That's 0.25%. Crude oil this morning, let's see where we are. We are up 50 cents. We're at $82.04 a barrel. Looks like, do we still have those westbound lane restrictions on I-80 coming out of Parley's? I bet we do. We'll check that and see if there are any other issues to report just ahead. Traffic and weather together on KSL News Radio.
For over 80 years, Farm Bureau Financial Services has been protecting farmers and ranchers season after season.
You need to know you're covered and you've got somebody covering your back.
You've got local people that everybody knows.
And we have a good policy and a good agent, and I guess that's what you need to be able to sleep at night.
Loyal, local, and rooted in ag for over 80 years. Learn more at fbfs.com/rootedinag. It's your future. Let's protect it.
Good morning. I'm the 25% off window company.
25% off?
It's our biggest discount ever.
So what happened to the 40% off you were offering a couple months ago?
Well,
nothing. It's baloney. Hi, this is Kathy.
The Doug of Window World. When you hear those things, you know you've entered the baloney zone.
Resist the force of the baloney zone.
Call today.
281-8111.
Window World. Simply the best for less. And that's no baloney.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night, too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Hey, you there with a sparkler or that 500-gram Ariel? Keep a water hose nearby, and for heaven's sake, don't light them out of bounds. And bonus points if you lay off after midnight. We all love fireworks, but we love safe homes and a good night's sleep. A reminder from your friends at KSL News Radio.
Join KSL's Tim Hughes for the Ute Stampede Rodeo July 10th. 90 years of carnivals, flying cowboys, music, and extreme bulls July 10th. Package discounts on Wednesday and Thursday. Visit utestampede.com. 529, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And we go back over to you, Andy.
So far, pretty light traffic on the drive from Draper to Salt Lake, I-15, and city streets really quiet. No crashes to report. Construction in the Salt Lake Valley, not really a factor causing any kind of slow spots this morning as of yet. Heather?
We have most of our traffic right now concentrating at both the south and west gates of Hill Air Force Base. Not excessive delays yet, but that's where most of the people are heading, it appears, at this moment. You do have good speeds on the freeways, though, so you shouldn't have any problems using I-84 through the mountains, US 89, or I-15. Eric?
Tooele County drivers, no problems at this early hour. Northbound SR 36 from Tooele City through Stansbury up to I-80. And then on I-80 in the mountains, we do have some road construction going on. That's kind of typical these days. You've got only the one right lane open westbound if you're heading from the East Canyon exit down to the mouth of Parley's Canyon. And get ready for memorable summer evenings with the Utah Symphony, July 5th through August 9th in Park City. Tickets are on sale now at DeerValleyMusicFestival.org. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Pretty mild temperatures for the first week of July today. 87 for a high, 85 tomorrow, 90 Wednesday, July 4th, 87 for a high. That'll be nice. Right now, let's see where we are. Partly cloudy skies and 70 degrees.
You're listening to Utah's Morning News with Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon
on KSL News Radio,
102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good morning. KSL News Time is 5:30. Tim has the day off. KSL's top story this hour, an evacuation order was briefly issued at a small Washington County town. KSL News Radio's Michael Commute is live with more. Michael?
Amanda, Central is the name of this town, and it's located in the northern half of the county. A human-caused fire grew after sparking yesterday afternoon, and high winds meant firefighters had to play it extra safely. Consequently, an evacuation order was issued for the city, or the town. Now, fortunately, firefighting pilots were able to drop enough water and retardant to stall the fire, according to the St. George News. And ultimately, the order was lifted, and crews worked into the night to manage the wildfire's remains. At least 15 acres and one home was burned. Reporting live, Michael Commit, KSL News Radio.
KSL weather now with Matt Johnson.
We're going to be significantly cooler today. Yesterday's high was 101. That marked our fourth triple-digit day on the summer and for the month of June, when we typically average about only one day in the triples for June.
The rest of the week has temperatures in the 80s and 90s. Firefighters are preparing for a long holiday week.
Fire station call volume goes through the roof, according to Benjamin Porter with Unified Fire Authority. So firefighters are being proactive by thinning out dry brush in vulnerable areas. They're also utilizing all of their resources.
We are staffing an additional water tender, 3 wildland brush trucks ready to respond to calls that are inevitably going to come from fireworks.
Porter says they're also doing a major push with their public service announcements on social media in anticipation of the holiday. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio.
Today, some members of our new NHL team are hitting the ice for the first time since the team moved to Utah. KSL News Radio's Adam Small is live with details. Adam?
Amanda, the Utah Hockey Club kicks off their development camp today in Park City. This is specifically for the team's young players and all their new draft picks. They're going to have some on-ice workouts and even hold a public scrimmage at the Delta Center this Friday.
The pride that we have to wear the Utah colors and be here working out of Salt Lake, it's just been an amazing experience.
Utah GM Bill Armstrong tells KSL Sports he likes the progress they've made over the last few years, since he even said that 3 years ago he believes they had the worst roster in NHL history, his words, but they hope to take another step forward this year, hopefully a run at the Stanley Cup playoffs. Live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national story this hour, Hurricane Beryl is moving through the southeastern Caribbean this morning. Grenadine's prime minister urged people on St. Vincent to take shelter.
You have to look out for the children. You have to look out for the old people.
Beryl is the earliest Category 4 hurricane on record. This morning it weakened a bit to a Category 3 storm. ABC meteorologist Dan Amarante is tracking the storm's path.
It's likely going to cross over the Windward Islands, likely as a major hurricane. And then after that, it'll cross into the Caribbean Sea, making a run in the direction of Jamaica. So any interests around Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and even the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico all have to be watching this extremely closely as we head through the next few days.
He says it's still too soon to know if Beryl will have any impact on the mainland of the U.S. Boeing is seeking a plea deal with the Department of Justice. ABC's Allison Kosick reports.
I'm feeling denied justice.
Attorneys for the family say the proposed deal would allow Boeing to plead guilty to a conspiracy charge for misleading the FAA during its evaluation of the 737 MAX aircraft. That's the plane involved in the two crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia in 2018 and 2019. But under terms of the deal, Boeing would not have to acknowledge that its alleged conspiracy killed the 346 people lost in those crashes.
The deal would fine the company about $200 million, well short of the $20 billion families of victims requested. First look traffic now on a Monday morning, and here's Andy Farnsworth.
And right now, traffic looking good on I-15, either direction heading to Salt Lake City. Still have the lane restrictions on I-80 coming through Parleys down towards the mouth of the canyon, but not really slowing you down like it was a little bit earlier. Just right now, everything pretty clear and quiet on the roadways. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Police in Washington County are looking for a motive in a weekend murder.
Greg Lovell, Washington PD spokesman, says officers were called to an apartment complex just before 2 a.m. on Sunday.
Officers responded and found a male in his apartment that had been wounded via gunshot, and then officers rendered aid to him, and then he was eventually transported to the hospital here in St. George, where he was declared deceased.
Lovell says a witness, a female, was uninjured. The suspect was located and was taken into custody. A motive is under investigation. Mark Jackson, KSL News Radio.
A man charged with killing 19-year-old Dylan Rounds in Box Elder County will be sentenced today. Rounds went missing in 2022. 61-year-old James Brenner pled guilty to the murder in a plea deal. The latest look at housing shows more young single women own homes than single young men.
The report by Lending Tree shows that nationally about 1 million more single young women own homes than men. Dr. Susan Madsen, director of the Utah Women and Leadership Project at USU, says one trend shows women sharing expenses with friends.
That some women are just purchasing homes with their just friends because of the expense of housing.
Madsen says women want stability and they don't want to put money into rentals, and they view home ownership as a long-term investment. Also, the numbers could be reflecting the fact that generally there are more women than men. Tammy Kikuchi, KSL News Radio.
I-15 is in solid shape this morning along the Wasatch Front to kick off the week. We'll check traffic and weather together coming up next.
Reliability, steadiness, trusted voices.
I'll listen to KSL in the morning. I use it to find my weather, to find my traffic. When you ask me what news is, I think of KSL first.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
Make the most of your summer plans with triple rewards from Cyprus Credit Union. This July and August, use your Cyprus Rewards Visa card to earn triple points for every $1 you spend on gas and travel. That's triple the points for hotels, flights, at the gas pump, and more. This offer lasts from now through August only, so make the most of your Cyprus Rewards Visa or apply today at cypruscu.com.
Cyprus Credit Union, your future is our future.
Equal opportunity lender.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
911, what's your emergency?
Someone on the other line said they kidnapped my son.
On September 12, 1995, McKay Everett disappeared from his home in Conroe, Texas.
There was no sign of forced entry. It was just as if McKay had walked out of his own free will.
And to this day, McKay's mother, Paulette, feels that justice was never truly served. Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful when Mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. I wanted a better relationship with Dad, so I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I'm sure glad I did. Is someone's drinking troubling you? You might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
An evacuation order was issued just briefly in Washington County yesterday after a fire broke out. We're updating you on that story this morning here on KSL. 5:39, traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Andy?
Man, I just watched a fire engine getting onto southbound Bangerter at 90th South. We're getting reports there might be a grass fire near Bangerter itself. So far, haven't seen any slowing or impact on traffic on Bangerter through the area. Traffic looks good on I-15 through the valley. Got a little bit of heavy traffic on State Street, though, near the I-80 on-ramps in South Salt Lake. Heather?
No accidents or delays right now through Weber and Davis counties. You're still under a 30-minute commute if you get on in Ogden, anywhere in Ogden, and head southbound I-15 into Salt Lake City. If you need to transition to Legacy and the West Side Belt, you also have good speeds getting to the airport. Eric?
No problems in Parley's Canyon, despite the fact that you've got some road restrictions due to some road construction. This is westbound I-80 approaching the mouth of the canyon. You're down to one right lane, but we're not seeing any delays go through there. If you're down Utah County, I-15, northbound, southbound, no problems from Provo up to Lehigh. Thinking of a kitchen remodel? Durden's matches every competitor's price, and you get rebates on single appliances or whole kitchen appliance packages. Durden's also offers next-day delivery on Fifth South and Bountiful or DurdensAppliance.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cooler air moves in for today. High of 87 and partly cloudy skies. Overnight, 62, mostly clear. Into Tuesday afternoon, 85, sunny skies. We're back up to 90 by Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Boy, that's just a terrific July 4th week forecast. It doesn't get super hot up close to 100 until Sunday, till the end of the weekend. All right, right now it's 70 degrees downtown. Coming up in a moment, we will go to the White House and speak with Molly Nagel about the president's meeting with family and advisors over the weekend. And the report this morning is that his family and his advisors are encouraging him to stay in the race. We'll get the latest from Molly just ahead on KSL News Radio. Streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
How would you like to finally lose all those unwanted pounds quickly without spending thousands on painful injections or prescriptions? Hi, it's Donna Simpson, health and wellness expert. You probably know someone that is using Ozempic, the hottest diet craze in the country. Everyone knows about this prescription injection. Celebs use it to look their best. The problem is most of us can't afford Ozempic, and these injections can be so uncomfortable. Now you can lose the weight just as easily, but with no needles, no expensive prices, no side effects, and no worries. You need to try Lozempic, a new miracle weight loss breakthrough that performs so well it's been called nature's Ozempic. Lozempic is an easy-to-take diet pill now available without a prescription, being used by thousands to get rid of those unwanted pounds. So call now and find out how to get a free bottle.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Lozempic, call 800-920-3769, 800-920-3769. Free bottles are limited, so call 800-920-3769. That's 800-920-3769.
Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Do you find it exhausting getting up from your favorite chair every day? Say goodbye to discomfort and hello to a world of ease. Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical, and you have so many options when buying a lift chair. For the highest quality, always come to Alpine. Our lift chairs are more than just furniture. They're your ticket to independence and relaxation. Plus, with our spring savings event, we've just marked down some of our chairs that are ready for you to take home. With an unbelievable warranty, you can shop with confidence knowing your comfort is our priority. So stop by any of our 11 locations today and explore our high-quality inventory, or visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical,
Grandma. What's for dinner?
Hey, honey, I'm making stew tonight.
Ooh, can Nina come over?
I'm not sure about our new friend. I wonder if there's been any drinking going on. Alcohol at her age can lead to so many bad things. I've been meaning to ask you, what would happen if someone offered you a drink?
Grandma?
This is hard. She's so young, but I know I need to talk to her about it now before someone tries to give her alcohol. If anyone ever does offer you a drink, I want you to say no. I have too much respect for my family, and I don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
Really?
I promise, Grandma. I love you too.
Okay, how about tasting this stew and telling me what you think?
Some children may try alcohol as young as 9 years old. It's not too early to talk about drinking. For tips on how to begin the conversation, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. That's underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. This message brought to you by SAMHSA and this station.
KSL News Time 544. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
a small town in Washington County was briefly put under an evacuation order after a wildfire broke out. But fortunately, firefighters brought it under control. I'm KSL News Radio's Michael Clement.
Second, firefighters are preparing for a long holiday week, and they're asking all of us to be careful with fireworks. Third, traffic and weather together.
There appears to be a little grass fire visible from Bangor around 90th South near the Jordan Valley Hospital, but traffic doesn't appear to be impacted on the main flow. Looks good on I-15 so far, and I haven't seen any I-80 delays down in the valleys. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures fall below normal today and even cooler tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, 70 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, and time for our top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The Supreme Court expected to rule this morning over whether former President Donald Trump has broad immunity over prosecution for any actions that he took as president. For any actions there, former top aide Steve Bannon reporting to prison today for his 4-month sentence for refusing to testify before Congress about January 6th. Former Presidents Obama and Clinton among the Democrats doubling down, it said, on their support for Joe Biden even after last week's disastrous debate performance.
Political reports Biden's family is urging him to fire or demote top campaign aides for not preparing him to go on the attack and for overworking him before the debate.
Let's in fact go in depth on that topic. President Biden is vowing to stay in the race, and ABC News White House correspondent Molly Nagel joins us live. What do we know about his meetings over the weekend, Molly?
Well, we know that the president spent part of his weekend at Camp David and that he spent part of it with his family. There have been reports that this was, to kind of take stock of where things stand after the debate and to reassess. The White House was pushing back on that. They say that this was a pre-planned gathering. It was on the schedule for the president prior to the debate. This was about them taking a family photo, according to a White House official. So we know that the president spent time with his family this weekend, but we also know that his family are some of his most trusted advisors. Certainly his wife, Dr. Jill Biden, has been his fiercest defender and a close and trusted ally when it comes to discussing how the president moves forward. We haven't seen the family necessarily come out and speak in a public way, but we did see Dr. Jill Biden on the cover of Vogue magazine this month. And in an editor's note to their story, they noted that they spoke with her on June 30th at Camp David and said that they will not let those 90 minutes define the 4 years that President Biden has been president, and that they will, quote, continue to fight. And she added that the president will, quote, always do what's best for the country. So clearly a strong defense there, urging the president to stay in and continue this fight.
We're playing a soundbite this morning from the president where he says, I realize that I'm not as strong of a debater as I used to be. Was that from a campaign event?
Yeah, we did see the president get back out on the campaign trail on Friday in North Carolina. He acknowledged that it wasn't a good night for him. He said, look, I'm not as young as I used to be. I don't walk as smoothly as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. And I may not debate as well as I used to, but I know right from wrong, and I'm going to get up and get to a fight. And that's actually a bite that the campaign is using in a new ad that they just released this morning, called I Know. And it talks about how the president is making this argument of he knows right from wrong. And even if he didn't have a good time on that debate stage, he is going to tell the truth, and he's going to work for the American people in the way that he says Donald Trump will not.
What did I see from the Biden campaign? They said that if the president dropped out, it would lead to weeks of chaos. What are they talking about there?
Yeah, so this is kind of a two-pronged argument that they're making, right? So on the one hand, they're saying that when you have a bad night, you get back up and you keep fighting. And that is, part of Joe Biden's mantra, and that's the strategy that we're taking forward. So that's one part of what they are arguing. But the other part they're arguing here is a little bit of be careful what you wish for. They're telling supporters if you want somebody else to come in and Joe Biden to drop out, it would lead to, quote, weeks of chaos and internal food fighting, and it would be, quote, a highway to losing to Donald Trump. So their arguing here is that if Joe Biden were to decide before the debate or before the conventions that he is going to step down, the process for who would take that place at the top of the ticket could get really messy. It could get very chaotic. You would imagine that Vice President Kamala Harris would be obviously at the top of that list, but there have been other names that people have thrown around as possible candidates if Joe Biden were to make this decision. You've heard a lot about Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan, Gavin Newsom of California, J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, a lot of state folks, including Josh Shapiro out in Pennsylvania, a lot of leaders in states that people have speculated could be somebody if it was necessary. But the campaign is really trying to do everything they can here to tamp down those questions about who would replace Biden by saying it's not going to happen. He's going to stay in this race.
Fascinating. Always appreciate your time, Molly. Molly Nagel with us on the In-Depth at 15 and 45. Right now it's 5:49. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And how's it looking, Andy?
It's looking decent in Salt Lake County this morning, Amanda. Haven't had any crashes yet. It's the closest thing to a slowdown is the 201 freeway waiting at 7200 West as you cross over towards I-15 from Magna. City Street's approaching the freeway. Looks like only 123rd South, the busy one right now near I-15 down in Draper. Heather?
No problems right now through Weber and Davis County. You've got good speeds if you're on the freeways, especially I-84 through the mountains to and from Morgan. Also I-80 southbound from Ogden to Salt Lake. That's still less than 30 minutes. And not a lot of traffic on city streets right now. Eric?
Not seeing any major difficulties out in Tooele County so far. SR 36 heading north from Tooele City through Stansbury all the way up to I-80. And if you're in the mountains, we do have some off and on brake tapping going as you head westbound to the mouth of Parley's Canyon. That's because of road construction. You're down to one right lane there, so that's to be expected. But overall, it's not a bad drive through the mountains, even with that. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast, 14 degrees cooler than yesterday. We'll go for a high of 87 and partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, down to 85. What a pleasant July day. Sunny skies for your Tuesday. Wednesday, popping back up to 90, sunny skies. We'll go mostly sunny for your 4th of July Thursday. 87 for a high. Looks terrific. Friday, 91, sunny skies. We'll go to 94 on Saturday. Sunday, we keep the sunshine. 97. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Let's see where we are right now. Partly cloudy skies and 70 degrees. And the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. So what are you doing this holiday weekend? Anything special? I learned more this weekend on A Woman's View about the Colonial Festival that goes on at Sarah Park in Orem. It starts on July 4th and goes through the 6th. And it reminds me of, I lived back east when I was a kid, and my parents took me to Williamsburg, where they have the old-fashioned blacksmith and the broom maker and the gunsmith and the potter and all of those artisans and even a bakery there. That'll be at the Sarah Park. It's free to the public, July 4th through the 6th there in Orem. Coming up, we'll get another look at Money News just ahead, see where the futures markets are. They were up last time I checked. We'll see if they're still there. Coming up on KSL News Radio.
So the body knows that it needs to heal itself, but it doesn't know how to concentrate it and target it into just one area. So that's where we come in.
By we, Dr. Ashley Caravelli means the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, QC Kinetics.
We put in those treatments, then it sends out like little signalers to your body. We're able to make the body focus on the areas that need the most healing.
QC Kinetics has gathered brilliant medical minds like Dr. Caravelli and Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine. to lead the way in these innovative pain treatments.
So at QC Kinetics, we have a whole team working nationwide with cutting-edge research to reach our patients and treat them and know that surgery is no longer their only option.
The consultation is free. Find out if you're a candidate. Call QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 385-766-1987. That's 385-766-1987. 385-766-1987.
It's complicated. These days, that's how people even describe their relationship status. When it comes to the latest complexities in your car, it's gotten really complicated. The experts at AMCO undergo the most rigorous training to stay on top of the latest car technologies, so there's nothing we can't fix. Well, except for that complicated relationship. When it comes to that, you're on your own. AA, MCO. Check engine light on? We'll check it for free.
Trail mix, beef jerky, mixing all the soda flavors at the gas station soda machine. Snacks are better on the road. The gas is better when it's top tier. And the pit stop is better when there's a dinosaur there. Love the filler moments at a Sinclair gas station near you with DinoCare, our top-tier gasoline. Some sweet and salty snacks for the commute, and a big green dino for the memories. Find a gas station near you at sinclairoil.com. Sinclair, fill up your life.
And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat.
Join Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater July 5th through August 3rd for show-stopping performances in Logan. Professional performers from Broadway and all over bring you Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats, the lively classic Guys and Dolls, the hilarious Anything Goes with spectacular tap dancing and music by Cole Porter, cult classic Little Shop of Horrors, and Puccini's opera Gianni Schicchi with its sequel Buoso's Ghost. Stop the commercial! I'm interrupting myself to tell you that Utah students K through 12 can get a free ticket to all Utah Festival performances this summer. Claim yours online now. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Cult classic Little Shop of Horrors and Puccini's opera Gianni Schicchi with its sequel Buoso's Ghost. Plus, late-night cabarets, 5 concerts, breakfast with the stars, academy classes, and more. Tickets at utahfestival.org. utahfestival.org.
Watching Utah's Money, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, trajanwealth.com. A focus on AI is boosting tech sales. NVIDIA shares rose as much as 27% in June. Apple saw a 9.6% jump, and Microsoft shares went up 7.6%. Canada's second largest airline has reached a deal with its mechanics to end a strike that canceled over 800 flights this weekend. It's the busiest travel weekend of the season in Canada. Tesla's sales continue to drop. The company reported low deliveries in the second quarter. It's the first time the EV maker is posing 2 straight quarters of decline. Your money at this moment. Let's see. The Dow futures up 93. That's 0.25%. S&P futures up 13. That's 0.25%. And the Nasdaq futures up 47. And you guessed it, that is 0.25%. It is a good commute on this Monday morning. No crashes or delays to slow you down anywhere. We'll check it coming up next on KSL.
When you're getting a new roof installed, you don't want to wonder, when are they going to be done? Or even worse, what are they doing up there? You'll never have to ask when you hire IWC Roofing, because their team of certified installers will be texting you pictures from the roof. You're going to know exactly what's going on and what you're getting for your money. And on most homes, they'll do the entire job in one day. In, out, cleaned up, and they'll even power wash your driveway just to say thank you. Now, you think you'd pay a premium for this level of service, but IWC does so many roofs, they get the material for less, and they pass the savings on to you. IWC is an Owens Corning certified platinum contractor. Of course, financing is available. Even better, their summer special, up to $2,000 off your quote. But you have to make the call. $2,000 off right now. Call IWC Roofing, 801-232-5690. That's 801-232-5690. Or go to IWCRoofingUtah.com.
Visit the contest page on KSLNewsRadio.com. This week, win tickets to the Ultimate Sports Bash, July 12th and 13th at the Mountain America Expo Center. Meet your sports heroes and celebrate your love of sports at the Ultimate Sports Bash. Or win a family pack of tickets to the Ute Stampede Rodeo, July 10th through 13th. Don't miss a parade, carnival, car show, and of course, extreme bull riding. Party at the 90th Annual Youth Stampede Rodeo. Text the word contest to 57500 or go to kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Tim and Amanda.
Do I look forward to reporting the news? Yes, insofar as it helps me understand what's happening.
We know that it's important information that's going to impact people's lives, and so that makes the job of reporting the news that day easier.
Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Utah news this summer will sizzle. July will mean a hot Republican convention, scalding temperatures, and the super cool announcement. For Salt Lake City 2034, keep updated each morning with Tim and Amanda from 5 to 9, Dave and Debbie and Boyd Matheson during the day, and Jeff Kaplan on the drive home from 3 to 7. Keep your KSL preset warm, and we'll report on every detail on KSL News Radio.
5:59, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And back to you, Andy.
Amanda, traffic looking good on I-15 through the valley, approaching the freeway. A little bit busy on 90 south in that roadwork zone right now, coming up from the Jordan River. Looks good on SR 201 after we had some earlier slowdowns around 7200 west. But right now you're sailing along across the valley from the west side to I-15. Heather?
Things looking pretty good in Weber and Davis counties as well. No delays right now if you are on I-15, US 89, Legacy Parkway. A lot of people look like they're heading up to recreation areas from Mountain Green all the way up to the ski resort area and to Pine View Reservoir. So that's a bit crowded. Eric.
Utah County looking good on I-15. That's a normal travel time, 24 minutes northbound from Spanish Fork to Point of the Mountain. If you're out in Spanish Fork and you decide to go the other way, Highway 6 through the canyon out to Price, that's in great shape. And 189 through Provo Canyon out to the Wasatch back in Heber City area. That's also looking pretty good. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Let's get a look now at that weather forecast for today. It is mild today. Well, 87 compared to 100. Tomorrow, even more so, 85 for a high, 90 on Wednesday, July 4th, only 87. Right now, it's 70 degrees downtown.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, we're counting down 23 days until the historic announcement, Salt Lake City 2034.
Good morning, KSL News Time is 6 o'clock. This is Utah's Morning News. I'm Amanda Dixon. Tim has the day off. KSL's top story this hour, a red flag warning will be in effect today for much of central and southern Utah, thanks to very dry conditions and strong winds. KSL News Radio's Adam Small begins our live team coverage, Utah Fire Watch. Adam?
Amanda, the warning goes into effect at noon and lasts until 9 o'clock tonight. It encompasses parts of Washington, Iron, Beaver, Millard, Juab, Garfield, and Kane counties, as well as part of the Colorado River, going up to the Grand County border.
In effect for gusty winds and a low RH, so just windy and dry conditions.
National Weather Service meteorologist Nicole DeSmet says wind gusts in these areas of the state could reach up to 35 miles an hour. And on top of that, very low humidity levels are forecasted. As always, people are encouraged to follow their local fire restrictions and just be extra careful on days like this. Secure your load, don't let change drag, and do not park your car over dry vegetation. Live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Starting this morning, several counties here in northern Utah are under Stage 1 fire restrictions. KSL News Radio's Michael Commute continues our live team coverage, Utah Fire Watch. Michael?
Amanda, Utah, Weber, Salt Lake, and 6 other counties are under this restriction. Stage 1 forbids open fires outside of public facilities or campgrounds, smoking outside of enclosed areas, or driving an ATV without an approved and working spark arrestor. Now, these restrictions and others went into effect at midnight, and this season has some of the highest levels of wildfire risk over the past 3 years. That finding comes from Fire Management Officer Dustin Richard, who also says all of the runoff we saw in winter means more vegetation can dry out and more stuff can light on fire in the first place. Reporting live, Michael Commit, KSL News Radio.
Fireworks will light the sky legally starting tomorrow night. Fire officials want to make sure everyone knows the rules. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr reports.
Some rules in areas where fireworks can be lit depend on the city you're in, but general guidelines that apply statewide include always having water handy, never relighting a dud firework, and not mixing alcohol and fireworks. The state fire marshal reminds Utahns that if you start a fire by not following the rules, you can be held accountable for the cost to fight the fire and the cost for all the damage it causes. He recommends attending professional shows rather than setting them off yourself.
Local firework rules or restrictions can be found on city websites. KSL's top national stories now. We are expecting to see the Supreme Court release a landmark ruling this morning, which will determine if former President Donald Trump has presidential immunity related to the January 6th riot. ABC's M. Wynn is outside the Supreme Court in Washington.
Trump posting late yesterday. It is a big decision, an important decision, a decision which can affect the success or failure of our country for decades to come.
The justices have hinted they might send the case back to the lower court. We will have instant analysis as soon as that ruling is released in the 8 o'clock hour. A former President Trump advisor and longtime ally reports to prison today. Steve Bannon was convicted on contempt of Congress charges.
Steve Bannon says he expects to see a landslide win for Republicans this November, telling ABC's This Week.
We have a 100% certainty we could beat Biden and beat him big. Take the Senate and pick up seats in the House.
Bannon was convicted of a felony in 2022 for failing to cooperate with a congressional investigation into the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
ABC's Mike Dubosky says Bannon asked the Supreme Court to allow him to remain free while he appeals, but the court denied that request. Bannon was sentenced to 4 months in prison. The Utah Supreme Court has ruled against a citizens movement that wanted to keep people 81 and older off the ballot.
A citizens movement to remove candidates from the 2024 ballot was turned away by the Lieutenant Governor's office. The office said the initiative was unconstitutional. The proponents of that movement then sued Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, but the Utah State Supreme Court sided in her favor, agreeing that such measures were unconstitutional. The initiative would have meant any candidate above the age of 81 would be removed from the ballot. Dale Spalding, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic now on a Monday morning, and we start with you, Andy.
And right now, watching I-15 traffic, it looks great both directions coming to Salt Lake City. It's been kind of heavy at times on I-80 coming through the canyon, but they've reopened the lanes coming through Parley's. We're down to one lane overnight, and it looks pretty clean coming out of Tooele County so far as well. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
If it feels like you're spending more time sitting in traffic, you're probably right. A new study found that traffic congestion has increased along the Wasatch Front. KSL News Radio's Amy Kobabe explains.
It's all about that time you're sitting there waiting for traffic to move. Traffic analytic company INREX estimates that the average driver spent 23 hours stuck in congestion last year. That's 4 more hours than the year before. And if you're trying to change the time you drive to get away from it, good luck. They also estimate that more people are driving in the middle of the day.
INREX estimates all this time stuck in traffic equates to $400 lost for the average driver. That's the amount you could have earned had you not been late. A detour along Teton Pass is officially open 3 weeks after a landslide closed the highway. They expect the road to be repaired by winter. A hit-and-run suspect is in custody after police say the driver turned into oncoming traffic and forced another car into a building. Police say the driver had turned the wrong way out of a parking lot and drove over a median. Police say alcohol is being investigated as a possible factor. A brazen robbery happened in Saratoga Springs over the weekend when a woman's wallet was stolen from a purse under a table at a restaurant. Jay Lucero tells KSL TV's Brianna Chavez she and her mom were shocked the theft happened right under them.
The little girl and her family walked over to our table and said, "We saw a lady just barely take it," and they just left.
Jade's mother quickly canceled her debit and credit cards, later noticing charges made worth hundreds of dollars.
We just couldn't believe someone could be so brazen and do it. And I mean, anybody could have been watching. Obviously, that little girl was watching.
A suspect with a similar description is accused of robbing someone else in a Riverton restaurant. We do have barrels being picked up this morning, but you've still got only one lane open on I-80 westbound approaching the mouth of Parley's Canyon. We'll check that and the rest of your Monday morning commute coming up next.
Join your friends who rely on KSL each morning for the fastest routes to work and school.
I am listening for the traffic. I'll always know if somebody's going to be late to work. That's often what's on when I'm driving.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s.
On KSL News Radio.
We have some exciting news to announce.
Master Electrical Service has joined Mountain Home Services.
And I can speak from experience, Deb. Mountain Home Services installed my furnace years ago, and it's been amazing.
And we know Master Electrical Service has been your trusted source for all your electrical needs, like your EV chargers, your generators, and recessed lighting.
But now that they've joined Mountain Home Services, they can help you with your HVAC, your heating and air, as well as your plumbing.
And it comes with that upfront pricing guarantee. I love the upfront pricing guarantee because it means no hidden fees.
100% satisfaction guarantee as well.
Master Electrical Service has been the name you trust since 1954.
They're the company we trust, and so can you.
Check them out now at mountainhomeutah.com.
That's mountainhomeutah.com, or give them a call at 801-543-2222. So easy to remember, 801-543-2222.
I spray and scrub, but the soap scum in my bathtub is still there.
I spray and scrub, but the burnt sauce on my stovetop sticks around.
Sprays can leave grime behind, but new Mr. Clean Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser combines the scrubbing power of an eraser with the cleaning power of Dawn to melt away tough messes on contact.
Just wet, squeeze, and erase.
Stop spraying, start erasing, and clean with more magic than ever with new Ultra Foamy Magic Eraser.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
We do have a red flag warning in effect today for much of central and southern Utah. Very dry conditions, strong winds leading to that red flag warning. We'll continue to report on that throughout the day here on KSL News Radio. Right now it's 6:09. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And we go back over to you, Andy.
And we looking pretty good on I-15 from Draper to downtown this morning. It's been pretty light on 21st South Freeway. Traffic really hasn't backed up at all through Magna. It stopped for a minute around 7200 West, but now that's all clear heading through the area. It looks decent so far, Mountain View and Bangerter through West Valley. Heather?
One of the busiest roadways in Weber and Davis County is actually coming out of Mountain Green, northbound on Trappers Loop, trying to get up to Pineview Reservoir. That's got a bit of traffic. Also, I think there's construction in that area. You also have some congestion on Wall Avenue right now. This is northbound trying to get to 20th Street, so we may have an accident in that area, but we haven't seen it on cameras. Southbound I-15, though, is at speed from Ogden to Salt Lake. Eric.
We got a crash westbound I-80 about 2.5 miles from the mouth of Parley's Canyon. In fact, that's exactly where the barrels are being picked up right at this moment. So at the moment, you've got only one right lane getting through there as you approach this crash. It may just be a disabled semi. That's the first thing you're going to see there on the right shoulder. I-15 Utah County, northbound, southbound, that's looking great. Get your lawn off to a good start with Revive Organic Soil Treatment. Greener grass using less water. Spread or spray. Revive Organic Soil Treatment available at your favorite garden center or revive.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Courtesy of a cool front today, we'll drop off 14 degrees from yesterday's high. 87 is what we're forecasting this afternoon with partly cloudy skies. Overnight, dropping off to 62, mostly clear skies. And tomorrow afternoon, 85 with sunshine. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now it's 70 degrees. Coming up in just a moment, Salt Lake City Fire Chief Michael Harper. They had a celebration of life for him last night after he died in a rafting accident. Such a tragedy. We'll have more on that coming up in just a moment here on KSL. You can stream us live at kslnewsradio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. I was just at NPS on Friday. Tim and I were doing a live broadcast there, although I'm usually there on Fridays because I like to do my grocery shopping on Friday mornings on the way home. But if you've never shopped at NPS, it might just blow your mind when you go, when you fill up a grocery cart and have it come to a total of $50, $60, $70 instead of the $300 you're used to. NPS it's a family company, started in Utah years and years ago. The dad started it. His daughter and son now run it. And they take in huge 18-wheeler truckloads full and sometimes rail cars full of overstock merchandise or merchandise that was refused for whatever reason. It's brand new in the clothing department. This is, these are name brands that you'll recognize, sometimes designer brands. They have a whole designer room there. and you're just going to save 20 to 70% every day. They check the retail price and then they mark it down 20 to 70% every day. And that's true throughout the store. And there's so much more than just groceries. I mean, I go there regularly for groceries, but they have all kinds of other things, electronics and bedding and clothes and shoes and party supplies. Maybe you're having a party this week and could save on party supplies. There are 4 locations of NPS, and I encourage you to stop by. 2 there in Salt Lake, the industrial store and the regular store, and then 1 in Layton and 1 in Orem.
I like daffodils, tulips, the big dinner plate dahlias. I loved being in the garden, but I wasn't going to be able to because I couldn't not only walk, but I couldn't really stand on my foot without being in pain. It was excruciating. So my husband said, let's go to the Good Feet store.
For over 20 years, we've helped people like Terry live the life they love without letting their feet get in the way.
This nice young man said, I think I can help you. He got the arch support, and I was fitted. And I kept walking back and forth across the store, and I looked at my husband and burst into tears because it was the first time in a year that I have not had any pain in my foot. I have had no pain since the day I bought them. Now I can do whatever I want. There isn't any place on my property that doesn't have flowers blooming 365 days a year. I still can't believe it. My name is Terry, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Stop by the Good Feet store in Farmington, Riverton, or Sandy for a free fitting. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeet.com.
In a world where ugly siding, leaky gutters, and inefficient windows are sapping homeowners of their will to live, one company must save us all. This year, join RGS Exteriors as it embarks on a mission to eliminate outdated home exteriors, one Utah home at a time. Every plank of old, ugly siding must be replaced. Every leaky gutter must be eradicated. Every inefficient, energy-sapping window must be vanquished once and for all. Begin your epic remodeling quest by calling RGS Exteriors for a free estimate. Discover how a heroic team of experts will save your siding, gutters, or windows for a fair, no-nonsense price. Call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or journey online to rgsexteriors.com. RGS Exteriors, coming soon to a home near you.
KSL News Time, 6:15. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
parts of central and southern Utah are under a red flag warning until 9 o'clock tonight. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, a new study shows the average Utahn spent 23 hours stuck in traffic congestion last year. Third, traffic and weather together.
And that was just in one day. Northbound I-15 traffic is rolling from Draper to downtown. We do have some heavy traffic, though, at the mouth of Parley's Canyon and a crash in Parley's Canyon that we are taking a look at on the eastbound side going up towards Parley Summit. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
A nice summer cool front will drop us to the 80s today. I'm Matt Johnson.
Well, we cooled off a little bit since I got here this morning. Right now it's 68 downtown at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Today is the day the Supreme Court is expected to return its ruling on absolute immunity for former President Donald Trump. His lawyers arguing that the president should be shielded from criminal prosecution for actions taken while in office. ABC's Terry Moran is outside the court.
This is the big one, the biggest case of the year and the biggest case on presidential power in decades. It will impact the election in November, and it will impact all future presidents. It's about the federal criminal prosecution of Donald Trump by special counsel Jack Smith for Trump's alleged conspiracy to overthrow the results of the 2020 election, including January 6th.
Refusing to tell Congress what he knew about January 6th is landing former Trump aide Steve Bannon in prison this morning. ABC's Aaron Katursky is outside the minimum security lockup in Connecticut, where he will serve out his sentence.
Not since Watergate has a former White House official of this stature been sent to prison, but today Steve Bannon is going to report here to this low security federal lockup to begin serving a 4-month sentence for contempt of Congress.
Former Presidents Obama and Clinton said to be among the Democrats doubling down on their support for President Biden after last week's disastrous debate performance.
Among those now calling for Biden to step aside, the New York Times editorial board and even some top Democrats are now entertaining the possibility. But the Biden campaign insists the president will continue to seek re-election, arguing that Biden dropping out would lead to weeks of chaos and leave his replacement in the weakest possible position.
ABC's M. Wynn in Washington. France's far-right National Party rally party suggested and surged to a lead in the first round of the legislative elections across France. President Emmanuel Macron, who will remain in office regardless of the results, called the snap election. UK votes this week in the snap election called by Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Labour far ahead of the Conservatives in polling there. You're listening to ABC News.
Salt Lake City Fire Chief Michael Harper died after a rafting accident in Colorado this weekend. KSL TV's Shelby Lofton has more.
For Jade Pierce,
I didn't know he was a firefighter for the first little while.
He was a friend who was always up for an adventure. He became close with Harp on the slopes.
You'd be up on the hill and you'd see Mike come flying out of the trees.
In the mountains and on the water.
He was no stranger to this river.
A summer river running trip took them and a group of their friends to the Green River in Colorado.
After we had gone through the rapid, we heard on the radio that Mike had flipped his boat.
Pierce said it's a risk that comes with the hobby.
His boat was pinned between these two rocks sideways, and my first thought was, how did that happen?
Pierce said the accident happened so fast, there's nothing Harp could have done to stop it.
His partner, Irina, who was on the front of the boat, had shot out and made it in between the rocks before the boat came down on top of him and pinned him underneath.
He said the group knew their friend was gone, but did what they could to recover his body in the fast-moving waters.
One of our guys had climbed up on top of the rocks and tied off a water jug to his ankle.
Around 8 the next morning, rangers said Harp's body was found 10 miles downstream.
Had it not been for that blue water jug, he would have definitely been lost. It provided a lot of closure knowing that we found him.
Pierce said the group is trying to process their grief together.
What a tragedy. A celebration of life was held last night. He is survived by his 2 children. That's the In-Depth at 15 and 45. Right now, 6:19, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And back over to you, Andy.
Seeing some heavy traffic now on I-15 going through Midvale and up into Murray. Not really slow so far. Bangor, though, starting to see some traffic backing on the drive between 5400 and 3500 south in West Valley. 201 freeway, a little bit of waiting at 7200 west, starting to creep in. Heather?
Well, our heaviest traffic right now is getting in and out of the Hill Air Force Base at the West Gate in Clearfield. So both Main Street and 650 North are a little bit congested, but there's no excessive delays at the moment, especially trying to get into the base. Southbound I-15 has pretty good speed from Ogden to Salt Lake. That's still less than 30 minutes. And no accidents reported on city streets or freeways in Weber and Davis counties. Eric?
Got a couple of westbound issues on I-80 if you're coming out of Parley's Canyon this morning. One is a disabled semi, and then further up the road near the quarry, about a mile up the road, you've got a crash, and the participants are all over on the right shoulder, so be careful going by there. Really not seeing any delays, though, so far, if you're heading out into the valley. I-15 in Utah County, that is in good shape from Provo to Lehigh. Get triple rewards points on your Rewards Visa card from Cypress Credit Union when you spend on gas and travel from now through August. Learn more or apply today at cypresscu.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. Today will be delightful. 87 degrees, partly cloudy skies. We're down to 85 below normal on Tuesday, sunny skies. Back up to 90 on Wednesday, sunshine. Thursday, it's the 4th of July. I've got mostly sunny and a pleasant high of 87 degrees. 91 on Friday, sunny skies. 4th of July weekend, Saturday, Sunday, 94 and 97 with blue skies. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, 68 degrees. The 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. We are expecting these big decisions from the U.S. Supreme Court today. Usually they start to come down right after 8 o'clock a.m. our time, 10 a.m. Eastern. So if you can't be near a radio, you can sign up for the KSL text alert service if you haven't already. You just text the word news all by itself, N-E-W-S, to 57500. And then when big stories like this happen, when a huge decision like this comes down, we will text you, just the crucial one-sentence information direct to your phone so that if you're not able to be near a news source or listening to the radio, that you can at least get the nuts and bolts of the decision in one short sentence direct to your phone. That's the KSL text alert service. Text news to 57500. Coming up, let's see where the markets started the day up a little bit anyway. We'll just see if they're still there. Money news just ahead on KSL News Radio.
If you're a sports fan, you need to be at the biggest sports fanatic event ever created, Ultimate Sports Bash. happening July 12th and 13th at Mountain America Expo Center. Watch performances by the dunk team that you've seen perform at the Utah Jazz games, pickleball, wrestling, and half-pipe performers, with clinics and panels with some of your favorite athletes and coaches, like Ute football coach Kyle Whittingham. Meet your heroes, like Jazz royalty Brian Russell and Greg Ostertag, BYU alum Minnesota Vikings QB Jaron Hall, Utes alum Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver Britton Covey, and Wheels, formerly of Nitro Circus. There's even a sports car show. All the panels, performances, photo ops, and autographs you can smash into 2 days. Tickets on sale now at ultimatesportsbash.com, and now offering a 2-day family pass for just $150. Get yours now at ultimatesportsbash.com.
Good morning. I'm the 25% off window company.
25% off?
It's our biggest discount ever.
So what happened to the 40% off you were offering a couple months ago?
Well,
nothing. It's baloney. Hi, this is Kathy.
The Doug of Window World. When you hear those things, you know you've entered the baloney zone.
Resist the force of the baloney zone.
Call today.
281-8111.
Window World. Simply the best for less. And that's no baloney.
How many of you have been waiting months or even years to get a crown, but don't have $1,200 to $1,500 to get one? Only Crowns offers same-day crowns at a fraction of the cost of your dentist. Plus, you're in and out in under 90 minutes. Save your money and save your time with Only Crowns. They provide an unmatched lifetime warranty. No dental insurance? No problem. Don't let the price of a crown keep you from enjoying good dental health. Only Crowns is here, and there's nothing like it anywhere in Utah. Done fast, done right, just $6.99 per tooth. They'll offer a limited exam, all the x-rays needed, plus a full zirconia crown with a lifetime warranty and no hidden fees. No one else offers that, and it's yours with Only Crowns. Visit Only Crowns next to Shields and Sandy or online at onlycrowns.com and get details, including how to score a Stanley mug for the first 100 appointments, along with a chance to win an electric bike. No purchase necessary. Onlycrowns.com. That's onlycrowns.com.
Watching Utah's Money, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. The Biden administration is pausing student loan collections for around 3 million borrowers. They're suspending payment and interest charges. A luxury brand is collaborating with a condiment company this summer. Kate Spade is releasing accessories and clothing based on Heinz ketchup. What? The collection includes a ketchup packet purse, ketchup bottle purse, and even a ketchup glitter phone case. Okay. Companies are looking for more part-time workers than full-time workers. Indeed reports that the demand for full-time workers has been flat since 2022. In that same time period, part-time employment has jumped by 9%. All right, let's get a look and see where your money is this morning. The Dow futures are up 92. That's 0.25%. S&P futures up 12.7. That's 0.25%. The Nasdaq futures still up 46. Also 0.25%. Just checking oil quickly. Oil is up 52 cents. We're at $82.06 a barrel. Coming up in just a moment, we do have a crash this morning. It's westbound on I-80 near the quarry, but over on the right shoulder. We'll check that and the rest of your commute just ahead.
Hey Utah! When it comes to guiding the growth of our state, you buzzed in with your comments, and we listened to what you had to say. Your feedback on the future of Utah's housing, water, transportation, and open space will continue to help our leaders make important policy decisions, preserving and improving our high quality of life in meaningful ways for years to come. So, thanks for speaking up. Learn more about our state's future at guidingourgrowth.utah.gov.
The KSL News Radio Movie Show comes to My Hearing Centers this Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson.
When we're trying to digest the news of the day, we have to remember that instant certainty is the enemy of truth. A flashy headline may distract you from the real issue and the important conversations underneath.
Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Over the years, you've brought them into your home.
You were prescribed opioids after the C-section, when Dad injured his back, when your basketball star tore his ACL. Opioids helped with the pain, and you held on to them just in case. But did you know holding on to unused opioids puts your family at risk? Opioids are powerful pain-reducing prescription medicines, but most people who are prescribed opioids don't finish their prescriptions. So millions of unused opioids are sitting in homes across the country. And tragically, more than 100 Americans die every day from overdoses involving opioids. What can you do to protect your family? Remove the risk of unused opioids from your home. Pills, patches, or syrups in drawers, purses, and cabinets, anywhere they might be hiding. To find out how to dispose of them properly, visit www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Hey, you there with the sparkler or that 500-gram Ariel? Keep a water hose nearby, and for heaven's sake, don't light them out of bounds. And bonus points if you lay off after midnight. We all love fireworks, but we love safe homes and a good night's sleep. A reminder from your friends at KSL News Radio.
Join Dave Noriega and KSL as we broadcast live from Royal Court Pickleball Club. Oh, that's going to be fun. Utah's new state-of-the-art indoor pickleball facility in Harriman this Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. Stop by for prizes, food, and fun. KSL News Time is 6:29. Traffic and weather together. Brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Andy?
Amanda, some slowing appearing on Mountain View now over by about 5400 South on the west side of Kearns. We've got traffic on I-15 filling in a little bit more now from 7200 South up towards 5300 South. And a little bit of wait on the 201 freeway. More people are getting caught at that light at 7200 West. Heather?
No problems in Weber and Davis counties. You've got good speeds on all the major freeways, including I-84, I-15, US 89. Traffic is filling in just a little bit on some of the city streets. No major backups, though, but you're going to see that in Ogden, Clearfield, and Roy for the most part. And then you have our accident-free right now. Eric.
Right at the quarry, we got a westbound I-80 crash through the mountains this morning. This is over on the right, a couple of police vehicles there on hand, so you'll know where it is. All the lanes are open, however, and you do have a pretty good drive through Parley's Canyon. If you're out in Tooele County this morning, seeing a little bit of activity northbound SR 36 in Stansbury Park as you approach the Pole Canyon intersection. Then past that, it's okay getting onto I-80 at Lake Point. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
And the weather forecast, we're on the mild side. Look at this, 87 for a high today. What was it, 101 yesterday? 85 tomorrow. Then we don't really warm up close to 100 again until the weekend. So July 4th looks like, well, for July 4th anyway, it'll be on the mild side with 87 for a high on Thursday. Right now, downtown, partly cloudy, 68 degrees.
You're listening to Utah's Morning News with Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon
on KSL News Radio,
102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good morning. KSL News Time is 6:30. Tim has the day off. KSL's top story this hour, a small town in southern Utah was briefly put on an evacuation order last night. KSL News Radio's Michael Commute begins our live team coverage, Utah Fire Watch. Michael?
Amanda, this happened in Central, a town off Highway 18 in Washington County. Yesterday afternoon, a human-caused fire sparked within the town, and high winds meant firefighters had to be extra careful to keep it from spreading. Consequently, an evacuation issue was ordered less than an hour after the initial spark. Aerial firefighters were able to stall the blaze, but not before one home was burned, and firefighters were cleaning up what was left of the fire into the night. The St. George News reports fire departments from all over Washington County and the BLM and Forest Service responded to this blaze. Reporting live, Michael Commit, KSL News Radio.
The Little Twist fire near Beaver is 25% contained now. Crews say hot, dry, and windy conditions over the weekend did not help their cause. The fire has burned around 2,600 acres. The 4th of July remains one of the busiest days of the year for firefighters, despite all the restrictions and warnings. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson continues our team coverage, Utah Fire Watch.
Benjamin Porter with Unified Fire Authority says, unfortunately, it's inevitable, but they won't be caught unprepared. Firefighters are thinning out dry brush in vulnerable areas, increasing staffing so that all their fire trucks can be in use if necessary, and there's a good chance a firefighter PSA will pop up on your social media because they've been doing a big safety information push as well.
Porter says the safest way to enjoy fireworks this holiday is to attend a professional show. KSL weather now with Matt Johnson, who takes a look at our holiday week.
All right, hey, we keep it in the 80s for your Tuesday. Pretty nice weather with sunny skies. Back up to 90 on Wednesday. 4th of July, we've got a high of 87 in the forecast with mostly sunny skies. We return to 90s as we head into the weekend.
Today, temperatures are 15 degrees cooler than yesterday, with a high in Salt Lake City of about 87 degrees. KSL's top national stories this hour. Hurricane Beryl is threatening several islands in the Caribbean this morning. On St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Prime Minister urged residents to take shelter as the storm hit yesterday.
This is a major hurricane. It's not a joke.
ABC meteorologist Danny Beckstrom is following the track of the storm.
Beryl is the big story, the earliest Category 4 hurricane on record in the Atlantic and the first ever in June after rapidly intensifying. Unprecedented to see a storm this strong this early in the season. Beryl barreling toward the Windward Islands before continuing through the Caribbean. This is just the second named storm of the season, but with water temps closer to September's averages, no surprise we're off to a hot start with several more areas to watch in the Atlantic Basin.
In other weather news, over 60 million Americans back east are under severe thunderstorm watches today. A plea deal is in the works between the Department of Justice and Boeing.
The deal would allow Boeing to avoid a public trial, which families wanted, and would fine the company about $200 million, well short of the $20 billion families have requested.
This is just another sweetheart deal between the Department of Justice and Boeing.
Nadia Milleron, whose 24-year-old daughter was killed in one of those crashes, claims the deal would compromise safety.
ABC's Allison Kosick reporting. The latest look at housing shows more young single women own homes than young single men.
The report by Lending Tree shows that nationally about 1 million more single young women own homes than men. Dr. Susan Madsen, director of the Utah Women and Leadership Project at USU, says one trend shows women sharing expenses with friends.
That some women are just purchasing homes with their just friends because of the expense of housing.
Madsen says women want stability and they don't want to put money into rentals, and they view home ownership as a long-term investment. Also, the numbers could be reflecting the fact that generally there are more women than men. Tammy Kikuchi, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic on your Monday morning, and here is Andy Farnsworth.
So far, the freeways have managed to avoid any big delays. We even had a crash in Parley's for a bit near the quarry, but that hasn't slowed you down. Traffic on 201 a little bit heavy around 7200 West. We've got some slowing along SR 36 in Lake Point to get on I-80 now in Tooele County. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
St. George authorities are searching for a motive after a man dies from a shooting at an apartment complex early Sunday. KSL News Radio's Mark Jackson reports.
Washington Police spokesman Greg Lovell says officers were called about 2 a.m. on Sunday to an apartment complex where one victim was shot, transported to the hospital, then died a short time later.
Through surveillance video, we were able to just find the suspect, find a good suspect description, and then find out his location, and then we were able to take him into custody.
Female witness was uninjured. Lovell says at this early point in the investigation, they aren't exactly sure how all of the parties involved are related. Mark Jackson, KSL News Radio.
A man charged with killing 19-year-old Dylan Rounds in Box Elder County will be sentenced today. Rounds went missing in 2022. 61-year-old James Brenner pled guilty to the murder in a plea deal. The head office of the Utah Royals soccer team fired their head coach in the middle of her first season. Amy Rodriguez has been the head coach since the Royals returned to Utah. In her 15 games at the helm, the Royals have posted the worst record in the league, winning only 2 games. KSL Sports reports the team has also fired the goalkeepers coach and reassigned the team president to a new role. Today, some members of our new NHL team will hit the ice for the very first time in Utah colors. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has more. Adam?
Amanda, the Utah Hockey Club's young players and new draft picks will begin their development camp today in Park City, where they'll have on-ice workouts through the end of the week. The camp is going to end with a public scrimmage at the Delta Center on Friday. Utah GM Bill Armstrong tells KSL Sports they're hoping to take another step forward this season.
We probably had the worst roster in the history of the NHL about 3 years ago. So we're not far removed from that. We're trying to take steps.
The team is looking for its first playoff berth in 5 seasons. Live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
It is getting busier out in Tooele County trying to get onto I-80 from northbound SR 36. We'll check that and the rest of your morning commute just ahead.
Spend time with KSL News Radio and get a deeper understanding of the world around us.
You've got voices like Boyd Matheson.
I enjoy his measured approach to things.
A very balanced view.
Inside Sources, weekdays 1 to 3.
On KSL News Radio.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
Check out AMCO's multiple financing options, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow.
AA MCO.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we don't say 2 birds with 1 stone. We say 2 damages with 1 deductible. With us, if your home and auto are both damaged in 1 storm, you only pay 1 deductible. And we should probably stop using stones for that sort of thing anyway. Talk to a Farm Bureau Financial Services agent about our 1 deductible advantage at fbfs.com/protect. It's your future. Let's protect it. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want to tell you about our famous "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. That's right. It's a warranty you don't need, but we give it to you anyway. Let me explain. Most warranty problems for siding, gutters, and windows are caused by not installing stuff right in the first place. If you rush the work, cut corners, or use subpar materials, you're just begging for problems later. At RGS Exteriors, we don't tolerate careless workmanship. We slow down, focus on every detail, and use only the best materials. We prevent warranty work by doing the job right in the first place. That's why the 10-year everything guarantee we give you is also known as our "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. We absolutely will be there if you need to use it. But honestly, you probably will never have to. Done right the first time. That's the RGS way. For siding, gutters, and windows, call 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriors.com.
There was a small town in southern Utah that folks were told to evacuate yesterday for a brief time. They're allowed back in now. The fire is under control, but we'll report more on that with Michael Commute this morning on KSL. 6:39, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Andy?
Amanda, travel on 201, backing up a little bit at 7200 West. We've got some slowing on Mountain View at the traffic lights between 5400 and 3500 South. We got traffic on I-15 moving at the speed limit, but approaching the freeway a little bit slow at the Bluffdale exit, and then a little bit heavy around 5300 South Murray. Heather?
No slowdowns yet through Weber and Davis counties, even though traffic is filling in, getting pretty busy southbound I-15 coming from Clearfield, Kaysville, Farmington area. No problems as you transition onto Legacy Parkway or the West Side Belt. Some of the city streets are also seeing a little bit of congestion, but no accidents. Eric?
We do have one crash westbound I-80 at the quarry as you head towards the mouth of Parley's Canyon. It's over on the right shoulder, right at that same spot. On the eastbound side, they've reduced, they put the barrels out, so you've got one right lane being shut off there for travelers, and you are seeing delays as folks make the adjustment to go into those other 2 lanes. I-15 Utah County, northbound, southbound, that's in great shape. Thinking of a kitchen remodel? Durden's matches every competitor's price, and you get rebates on single appliances or whole kitchen appliance packages. Durden's also offers next-day delivery on Fifth South and Bountiful or DurdensAppliance.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
A nice reprieve from yesterday's 101. We're going for a high of 87 today, partly cloudy skies. Overnight, refreshingly cool, 62 the low. For tomorrow, sunny skies and 85 the high. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Let's see where we are right now, 68 degrees. Coming up in a moment, America in the Morning's John Stolnitz will go in depth for us on the Bidens gathering at Camp David over the weekend. The family got together to talk about the future of his campaign. We'll share more of what we know in just a moment here on KSL, streaming live at kslnewsradio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. And up next on KSL, it's time for Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, brought to you by the law offices of Jordan Wilcox.
As baseball season opens, I was thinking how cool it'd be on opening day at our billion-dollar stadium here in Salt Lake, to see the first pitch ever in a packed house. That'd be awesome, but after a few games, what happens? Will we sell out like the Dodgers? Or is it going to be like the anemic attendance in Miami? I went to a Marlins game once. Beautiful stadium with a retractable roof. The tickets were dirt cheap, and the best part, you're alone. No one goes, so you get to move down and sit right behind the dugout at a major league game. It's great, but not for the Marlins. So this year, they've heeded this legendary advice.
Guess what? I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
Yes, this year, cowbells are permitted, along with trumpets, tambourines, drums, trombones, and almost any other annoying instrument you can think of. They're all welcome. The Marlins are desperately trying to make some noise and make the games more exciting. Here's what it could sound like. Could you imagine all that drumming and honking and ringing from a couple of guys sitting right behind you? What a headache! Which brings us to the second big change of the season. Miami is introducing the all-you-can-eat pass. For about $60, you get a seat in right field and all-you-can-eat. So now imagine the guy sitting right behind you blowing globs of all-you-can-eat food through his trumpet, scoring a direct hit on the back of your head. Oh, what a nightmare! And I wonder, could this kind of desperation happen here? I don't know, but as far as I'm concerned, the Marlins can keep the instruments and the slow-cooked chili made from alligators. Oh yeah, they serve it. Tastes like chicken.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, only on KSL News Radio.
I have a cowbell, and I'm not afraid to use it. And that's brought to you by the law offices of Jordan Wilcox. IRS harassing you? The law offices of Jordan Wilcox can help. Visit taxhelput.com.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, keep in mind, it's not just you.
My name is Phil, and I got myself into a little bit of tax trouble by not filing taxes. I got a notice from the IRS for not filing, and another notice, and added up to like $100,000 that I owed them. As I'm sitting there at work and shock and tearing up, what am I going to do? Because that's a lot of money.
Don't face the IRS alone. With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
Jordan actually was close to my office in Layton, and they got the IRS to settle for $10,500.
You need someone to fight for you.
From $100,000 to $10,500 was just incredible.
Visit taxhelput.com and get relief today. Let's solve your tax problems now. Visit taxhelput.com.
Saved me from being homeless, I would imagine, and just made my world a better place.
That's taxhelput.com.
Summer means the hospitals need extra blood donations. ARUP Blood Services has 2 locations. Donate blood to save a life. Visit utahblood.org. Open 7 days.
KSL News Time, 6:45. The 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
today, some members of our new NHL team will hit the ice for the very first time in Utah colors. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, Hurricane Beryl is threatening several islands in the Caribbean this morning. Third, traffic and weather together.
I-15 traffic is still at the speed limit, whether you're heading to Salt Lake from the north or south. But I-80's had some issues. Right now, it's lane restrictions eastbound near the quarry that are causing some backups for traffic heading towards Park City. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures fall below normal today and even cooler tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, it's 68 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Hurricane Beryl plowing through the southeast Caribbean as a powerful Category 3 storm. Beryl had strengthened into a Category 4, the earliest Cat 4 hurricane ever. Hurricane warnings in effect for several islands. The Supreme Court this morning will hand down its decision on absolute immunity for former President Donald Trump and for future presidents. The former president's aide, Steve Bannon, is set to report to prison in connection with Connecticut this morning.
Bannon was convicted of a felony in 2022 for failing to cooperate with a congressional investigation into the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Last week, the Supreme Court denied Bannon's request to remain free while he appeals that conviction. He's been sentenced to 4 months in prison. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
A plea deal between the Department of Justice and Boeing that could potentially avoid a trial over crashes of the Boeing 737 MAX jets that left hundreds of people dead. The families of some of those killed say they are angry. There will be no public accountability. This is ABC News.
President Biden gathered at Camp David over the weekend to talk about the future of the campaign. We get the very latest this morning from America in the Morning's John Stolnis.
The president and his family strategized ways to fix Thursday night's halting debate performance and discussed the wisdom of him stepping down as the Democratic nominee. It does not appear as if that's going to happen, at least not yet. Reports indicate the Biden family is urging the president to stay in the race. The morning after the debate, President Biden spoke to supporters in Raleigh, North Carolina, and said that while he did not have his best night, it was still better than Trump's performance.
Did you see Trump last night? My guess he said, I mean it sincerely, a new record for the most lies told in a single debate. I don't walk as easy as I used to. I don't speak as smoothly as I used to. I don't debate as well as I used to. But I know what I do know. I know how to tell the truth.
Those close to the Biden family appeared to be aiming their ire at campaign officials who prepped Biden for the debate, including top Democratic donor John Morgan, who wrote on social media that those who prepped him committed, quote, political malpractice. At a rally in Virginia on Friday, President Trump said all that prep work did nothing for the president.
Despite the fact that crooked Joe Biden spent the entire week at Camp David resting, working, studying. He studied very hard. He studied so hard that he didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Democratic Senator and pastor Raphael Warnock was asked on NBC's Meet the Press if Biden should step aside.
Oh, absolutely not. You know, they say if it's Sunday morning, it's Meet the Press. I'll tell you as a pastor, it's for me, it's church time. And I can tell you that there have been more than a few Sundays when I wish I had preached a better sermon.
In order for delegates to vote for someone other than President Biden, he would have to voluntarily step down. Speculation has already begun on who would replace him should he do that, including Vice President Kamala Harris and Democratic governors, including California's Gavin Newsom, Michigan's Gretchen Whitmer, J.B. Pritzker of Illinois, Pennsylvania's Josh Shapiro, and Andy Beshear of Kentucky. Republican National Committee Chair Michael Whatley on The Hill Sunday says he doesn't think Biden will be leaving the race anytime soon.
They're not going to be able to get him out without his consent. There is no process that would allow for them to have an insurgency and remove him from their convention unless he's going to step down, and we certainly don't see any indication of that.
John Stolnis, Washington.
And that's the In-Depth at 15 and 45. 6:49 now. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. There's that sun, Andy.
Yep, and looks good, but traffic's looking good as well, at least so far from Draper to downtown. Still less than 20 minutes travel time. Areas where it is getting heavier include State Street northbound in Midvale, some slowing at Mountain View and 3500 South, and waiting at Bangerter at the intersections of 47th, 35th, and 21st South. Heather?
No slowdowns yet on the major freeways in Weber and Davis counties, but you do have some pretty heavy traffic southbound I-15 between Clearfield and Farmington. Where we are seeing some slowdowns, though, and a little bit of delay is on a lot of the city streets, especially SR 193 in Layton, right in front of the south gate of Hill Air Force Base. Also, you'll see a bit of crowding on Washington Boulevard and Wall Avenue up in Ogden. Eric?
The eastbound delays on I-80 right at the quarry are starting to accumulate, get a little bit slower through there. You've got the right lane being blocked off for road construction. And right on the other side of the freeway for westbounders, there is a crash there at the quarry, and that's over off of the freeway, at least off of the main lanes of the flow, and you don't have any delays in that direction. I-15 in Utah County, that looks good. In Tooele County, SR 36 starting to look a little bit better through Stansbury, but starting to get a little bit slower at Lake Point, getting on to eastbound I-80. Advanced Window Products offers Graber window coverings, high-end quality with the best warranty. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. AdvancedWindows.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast, 14 degrees cooler than yesterday. We'll go for a high of 87 and partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, down to 85. What a pleasant July day. Sunny skies for your Tuesday. Wednesday, popping back up to 90, sunny skies. We'll go mostly sunny for your 4th of July Thursday. 87 for a high. Looks terrific. Friday, 91, sunny skies. We'll go to 94 on Saturday. Sunday, we keep the sunshine, 97. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now it's 68 degrees, and the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Just a little more than an hour until we get the first Supreme Court decision. That might not be the Trump decision. They may save it for last. likely we'll get all of them in the 8 o'clock hour. So if you can be close to a radio in the 8 o'clock hour, we'll start sharing them with you. As soon as we get the opinion, we'll share with you. Legal analyst Greg Skordas will be here to help us understand the rulings from the court. And if you're not already signed up for the KSL Text Alert service, you can do that now. Just text the word news, N-E-W-S, all by itself, to 57500. And then when there is breaking news like this huge Supreme Court decision, we'll text the key facts of that to you right to your phone. So that's news to 57500.
You wouldn't know it, but most financial advisors are put in a box. I'm Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I want to provide you a little insight about financial advisors. Most financial advisors have to sell what their company requires them to sell, and many advisors have to only adhere to what's called a suitability standard. A suitability standard is a limited standard of care, not requiring what's sold to be best, just suitable. Advisors with this loose standard often have limited investment and product selection. Trajan Wealth is held to a fiduciary standard, which is the highest standard of care in the advisory business. And that's just one of the many reasons we have billions of dollars under our care and attract clients from other advisors. Raise your standards today and call Trajan Wealth. Call 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the drug facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the drug facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drug facts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Watching Utah's Money, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. The impacts of streaming services are taking effect for Redbox. Wow. The company who owns the DVD kiosks is filing for bankruptcy, saying the profits are just not meeting expectations. I haven't noticed a Redbox in the longest time. It's grilling season, but fewer Americans are buying grills. High-end grill manufacturer Traeger is seeing a huge decline in sales. The company reported its latest profits at $76.8 million compared to its 2021 sales of $156.1 million. Despite all of its legal trouble, Boeing is now the owner of one of its major suppliers. The airline is buying Spirit AeroSystems in a $4.7 billion deal. Boeing says the merger will help boost safety. Of course, there's news today about a potential plea deal with the Department of Justice and Boeing. All right, let's get a look at your money at this moment. We're a half hour from the opening bell, and the Dow futures are up 49. That's about 0.1%. S&P futures are up 10. That's about 0.2. And the NASDAQ futures are up 40. That's also 0.2. Oil is up 43 cents. We're at $81.97 a barrel. Coming up, let's see. Mountain View Corridor northbound approaching 3500 south and I-80 eastbound going by the quarry. Those look like our two slowest spots right now, but we'll check it. Traffic and weather together coming up next.
You know, in Box Elder County, they're all about the bucket list. Want to go birding at the premier birding destination in the western United States? Well, check off the Bear River Migratory Bird Refuge. How about land art? The spiral jetty and sun tunnels will leave you inspired. Or stand on the spot where the Union and Central Pacific Railroads joined and forged the destiny of a nation. Yep, Golden Spike National Historical Park is like no other place. Check. Splash, boat, camp, or fish your day away? Willard Bay State Park will guarantee a good time. Soak in a natural hot spring with the highest mineral content in the world? That would be Crystal Hot Springs. You'll feel rejuvenated. Eat at Utah's original steakhouse. Maddox Ranch House is perfection. Check. A 1920s diner. The Idle Owl Cafe will transport you back in time. As you empty your Box Elder County bucket list, you'll find a whole new set of adventures to fill it up again. Fill up your bucket list at visitboxeldercounty.com.
Welcome to Staples, young man.
Tomorrow's my big day.
Big day?
First grade.
Aw. Well, Staples has crayons, markers, glue.
I need a laptop.
Oh, yeah, sure. With Staples Hot Deals, you can save up to $300 on select PCs for school.
Wait. The finances are Mom's department.
Right.
I'm looking for performance, like a Core i7 processor.
Boy, first grade has really changed.
Tell me about it.
Save big on tech for school with super low Staples Hot Deals. Right now, get up to $300 off select PCs at Staples. Ends 8/24.
July 4th doorbusters are happening now at Lowe's. For a limited time only, save $70 on a Charbroil 4-burner Performance Series gas grill. Was $249, now $179. And get 50% off Harbor Breeze 48-foot LED outdoor string lights to brighten up your patio for summer. Shop these deals before they're gone, because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Offers valid through 7/1. Selection varies by location, while supplies last.
Don't be worried, be ready.
KSL News Radio has partnered with Be Ready Utah to provide the plans your family needs for an emergency, the tools and supplies to keep on hand, and the knowledge on how to keep a cool head.
It's Be Ready Utah. Listen to our show, Dave and Dujanovic, for Be Ready tips and tools.
Or you can always find the latest preparation info at BeReadyUtah.gov.
Be Ready Utah with KSL News Radio.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Coming up on 6:59, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Andy?
Traffic a little bit backed up now on Bangerter, going up from 35th towards 21st South. You've also got some Mountain View delays at 3500 South. SR 201, pretty thick traffic between 56th West and Bangerter, and I-15 heavy in Midvale coming up towards the 215 overpass. Heather?
And we're looking pretty good through Weber and Davis counties. We've got good speed still on I-15 Legacy Parkway in the west side belt. Even though traffic is filling in and getting a bit heavy in spots, you're not going to have any delays. Eric?
Well, we do have lane closure. This is for eastbound I-80, right around the quarry if you're heading through Parley's Canyon this morning. And the right lane starts to begin to be siphoned off right around to the end of a curb, so it's kind of hard to tell it's coming. So if you're heading towards the quarry, make your way over into that center lane before you see the barrels. That would probably be the best advisement right now. If you're eastbound I-80, there is some further slowing approaching Foothill Drive from 2300 East down in Utah County. I-15 looks good northbound and southbound. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Let's get a look at that weather forecast. Today, 87 degrees with a few clouds. Cooler tomorrow, 85 for a high. It'll be 90 on Wednesday. And look at this, July 4th. We won't even get up to 90 degrees. That'll be nice, 87 for a high. Right now, partly cloudy and 68 downtown.
KSL Salt Lake City. From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, we're counting down 23 days until the historic announcement, Salt Lake City 2034.
Good morning. It's 7 o'clock on Utah's Morning News. I'm Amanda Dixon. Tim has the day off. Our top story this hour, a big portion of central and southern Utah is under a red flag warning today because of hot temperatures and strong winds in the forecast. KSL News Radio's Adam Small begins our live team coverage, Utah Fire Watch. Adam?
Amanda, this warning will be in place starting at noon today. It predominantly affects Washington, Iron, Beaver, Millard, Juab, Kane, and Garfield counties, and the warning goes until 9 o'clock tonight. Nicole just met with the National Weather Service, tells me along with hot temperatures, they're forecasting winds up to 35 miles an hour and very low humidity in these areas.
Which means any fires that do start in those areas are likely to spread very quickly.
People are encouraged to first follow any local fire restrictions, but also some good rules of thumb on days like this. Obviously, don't park your car on dry vegetation, secure your load, and fully put out your campfires. Live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Stage 1 fire restrictions are beginning across several counties in northern Utah today. KSL News Radio's Michael Commute continues our live team coverage Fire Watch. Michael?
Amanda, 9 total counties are affected here, including Utah, Salt Lake, Tooele, and Weber. Now, in essence, Stage 1 restrictions are trying to limit the chance a fire could start while we're out recreating. Specifically, this prohibits lighting fires outside of designated zones, smoking outside of enclosed areas, shooting off fireworks or tracer rounds, or running small engines without a working spark arrestor. That includes ATVs. These rules won't apply to incorporated cities or towns, but Fire Management Officer Dustin Richards says the risk for wildfires is the highest it's ever been for the past 3 years. Reporting live, Michael Commute, KSL News Radio.
Fireworks will be legal to light starting tomorrow. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr reports.
Statewide safety rules for using fireworks this week include obeying local laws, always having water handy, and never reigniting a dud firework. State Fire Marshal Ted Black says one of the best things you can do is use common sense.
There's injuries every year by somebody doing something that sounds like a good idea at the time, but clearly good common sense would tell you is not. Follow the rules and remember that choosing the professional show is always a better option.
He says if you start a fire by not following the rules, you can be held accountable for the cost to fight the fire and the cost for all the damage it causes. Local rules and legal areas to light fireworks can be found on your city's website. Alessandra Gurr, KSL News Radio.
KSL's top national stories this hour. We are watching for news from the Supreme Court this morning. The court is expected to release an opinion on whether the president has immunity for official actions taken while in office. ABC's M. Nguyen has more from Washington.
In oral arguments earlier this year, the conservative justices seemed open to allowing some form of presidential immunity. Much of the oral arguments centered around what constitutes as official versus a private act. The justices hinting they might send the case back to the lower court to sort that question out.
The ruling could determine if former President Donald Trump will be immune from charges related to the January 6 Capitol riot. A longtime ally of former President Trump reports to prison today after having been convicted on contempt of Congress charges. ABC's Mike Dubusky has more.
Steve Bannon says he expects to see a landslide win for Republicans this November, telling ABC's This Week.
We have a 100% certainty we could beat Biden and beat him big. Take the Senate and pick up seats in the House.
Bannon was convicted of a felony in 2022 for failing to cooperate with a congressional investigation into the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Last week, the Supreme Court denied Bannon's request to remain free while he appeals that conviction. He's been sentenced to 4 months in prison. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
The Utah Supreme Court ruled against a citizens movement trying to restrict candidates on the 2024 ballot by age. KSL News Radio's Dale Spalding explains.
First, the group of Utah voters appealed to Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson to have the ballot initiative enforced. When the Lieutenant Governor's office said the initiative was patently unconstitutional, the voters sued her and took their case to the Supreme Court.
The initiative would have kept anyone 81 or older off this November's ballot. Police in Saratoga Springs are looking for a thief who stole a woman's wallet at a restaurant by sliding the victim's purse out from under a table with her feet. KSL TV's Brianna Chavez met with Jade Lucero, who was out with her mother when it happened.
We were about finished, and my mom reached down to grab her purse because we were getting ready to go. And she looked inside and saw that her wallet wasn't in there.
Surveillance footage from the restaurant shows the alleged suspect reach down to pick up the purse and retrieve what Jade says was her mother's wallet, then kick it back.
She says the suspect made charges on stolen cards from the wallet worth hundreds of dollars. A similar theft with a similar suspect description happened at a Riverton restaurant in December. First look traffic on the 7 o'clock report, and here is Andy Farnsworth.
And right now, if you're on I-15, the traffic is just fine. But if you're on I-80, you've got some eastbound delays going up to the split near to 215 and Foothill. And then you've got some, well, it's not slow going into the lane restrictions near the quarry, but we've watched several near accidents happen for people going into that lane restriction, so be really careful heading towards Park City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Traffic Center.
Some former Democratic presidents are doubling down on their support for President Joe Biden after his highly criticized debate performance.
Political reports Biden's family is urging him to fire or demote top campaign aides for not preparing him to go on the attack and for overworking him before the debate. A new poll shows 72% of registered voters do not believe Biden has the mental or cognitive health necessary to serve as president. That's up from 65% before the debate.
ABC's M. Wynn says former President Barack Obama and former President Bill Clinton are among those publicly backing President Biden. Israel's defense minister says he continues to try and reach a deal with Hezbollah to stop hostilities on Israel's northern border.
Israeli officials tell me that both Israel and Hezbollah have agreed to the broad parameters of a deal brokered by the U.S. that would stave off a war. But Hezbollah has said that it can't sign that deal until there is a ceasefire in Gaza. That could be months away, and so those officials are saying at this point a potentially devastating wider regional war is more likely than not.
ABC's Matt Gutman reporting. A suspect is recovering after being shot by a Salt Lake City police officer this weekend. It happened around 7th South and 56th West. Police say they were assisting Utah Highway Patrol at the time. An officer was also shot in the gunfire exchange. Both are expected to survive. St. George police are searching for a man who was reportedly spotted in the nude at a public park. They say he was seen near the amphitheater of Tonnequint Nature Park. He is believed to be in his 60s with gray hair. Police are asking anyone with information to contact them immediately. You're likely spending more time in traffic compared to last year. A new survey compared travel times along the Wasatch Front and found that they've increased.
Count up every minute you spent delayed in traffic last year. Traffic analyst company INREX says for the average driver, that adds up to 23 hours. And that's up from 19 hours just a year earlier. Transportation analyst Bob Pisher says you can thank population growth.
So if you have too many people trying to drive on a freeway at a certain time, that creates congestion. More people than the freeway is designed to accommodate.
And because time is money, Pisher says those 23 hours lost in congestion last year adds up to $400. And that's not just the gas you're burning sitting on I-15. That's money you could have been making on average if you weren't just sitting there. Amy Kobabe, KSL News Radio.
Airlines are already playing catch-up for early holiday travelers. More than 1,000 flights were canceled this weekend due to severe winds. Passengers at Hobby Airport in Houston say it was a mess.
Experience was not very pleasant, not very comfortable.
Especially for this time of day, it was pretty good for us.
The AAA estimates more than 5.7 million people will be flying this week. Hertz says the cities with the highest number of cars being rented include Dallas, Denver, and Salt Lake City. KSL News Time 7:09. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Andy?
Amanda, travel on I-15 is looking decent now. It was starting to build up a lot around 53rd South and Murray. For now, that has thinned back out. Areas that are backed up, though, Mountain View Corridor at 3500 South, SR 201 right after the 56 West on-ramp. And we've got some slowing building going into Little Cottonwood Canyon along 9400 South just before you hit the mouth of the canyon. Heather?
Well, we're still accident-free up through Weber and Davis counties. No delays right now if you're taking I-84 through the mountains to and from Morgan, or I-15 southbound. It's less than 30 minutes from Ogden to Salt Lake. But traffic has been filling in, so you have some heavier spots, especially on city streets. You're going to see that when lights turn red at larger intersections in Ogden and Clearfield, and you'll see a bit of backup. Eric?
Well, we've got lane restrictions eastbound I-80 near the quarry. You've got the right lane blocked off with barrels. Unfortunately, people coming around the corner approaching that aren't getting a lot of warning time, so we're seeing a lot of near misses out there. And just watching one right now. Fortunately, nothing happened there. But to be careful if you're heading eastbound into the canyon this morning. I-15 in Utah County, northbound, southbound, that's looking good. This is the Place Heritage Park. Don't miss July celebrations and fun-filled days, starting with Liberty Day, Super Duper Day, and Pioneer Day. Activities all month. Visit thisistheplace.org. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL hourly forecast. We've got partly cloudy skies at 7 a.m. A couple of sprinkles possible out there as well. Temperatures in the upper 60s. Into the lunch hour, partly cloudy, a little bit breezy. Temps right around 80. Into the afternoon, how about a pleasant high of 87 with partly cloudy skies? From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, it's 68 degrees downtown. Coming up in just a moment, we'll hear more from ABC reporter Stephen Portnoy on the Supreme Court decisions that will begin coming down in less than an hour now. We usually get the first one slightly after 8 o'clock. Not sure when in the hour we'll hear about the decision on Trump's immunity claim, but whenever it comes down, we'll share it with you here. A celebration of life was held over the weekend by friends of Salt Lake City Fire Captain Mike Harp. He died while rafting in the Colorado River. KSL TV's Shelby Lofton has more.
Salt Lake City Fire Captain Michael Harp was a beloved, longtime firefighter. He was a part of Utah Task Force 1 and went to Ground Zero on 9/11 to help the country through some of its darkest days. For Jade Pierce,
I didn't know he was a firefighter for the first little while.
He was a friend who was always up for an adventure. He became close with Harp on the slopes.
You'd be up on the hill and you'd see Mike come flying out of the trees.
He says Harp was pinned underwater after his raft flipped in some rapids. Harp is being remembered as a loving father, firefighter, and adventurer. 11 people are recovering after an escalator malfunction. They were at a Milwaukee Brewers baseball game when it happened. The escalator sped downward with at least 20 people on it. The stadium is investigating what caused the malfunction. A lab-grown meat manufacturer celebrated their work before Florida's ban goes into effect. Upside Foods held a taste test in Miami. A few attendees told AP it cooks and tastes like chicken. The only thing that might give it away is the texture. Hollywood had another good weekend thanks to the continued success of a movie about teenage emotions.
Box office champ Inside Out 2 three-peated this weekend with $57 million.
And things couldn't be better.
Leading the summer box office rebound, the new Pixar sequel has made $469 million domestically and cracked $1 billion worldwide, becoming the first film since last summer's juggernaut Barbie to do so.
We can help each other. We have to get out of the city.
In a strong second place was A Quiet Place Day One, silencing $53 million for the weekend.
That looks like a promising place. The place I might be able to see myself.
The third spot belongs to Chapter 1 of Kevin Costner's Horizon, an American Saga, with $11 million. That's not great for the partially self-financed epic Western. I'm Kevin Carr.
Trending this hour on the 7 o'clock report, Michael J. Fox is a star on all stages. He made a surprise appearance at the Glastonbury Festival and joined Coldplay on stage. He came out in his wheelchair playing the guitar during the band's hits Humankind and Fix You. The Back to the Future actor was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease back in 1999. I saw some of this video. You really ought to go look it up on YouTube if you haven't seen it. Coldplay frontman Chris Martin gave Fox a shout-out saying, Back to the Future inspired them to start a band. A piece of Elvis Presley's clothing sold for $152,000 at auction.
Well, it's one for the money, two for the show, three to get ready. Now go, cat, go.
Yep, they were indeed his blue suede shoes. The shoes were given to a friend by the king of rock and roll himself, and all these years later, the friend still had them and now made $152,000. KSL News Time now is 7:14. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
Independence Day is just 3 days away. Fire officers reminding citizens of the rules to stay safe and that alcohol and fireworks do not mix. I'm KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr.
Second, we are expecting to see the Supreme Court release a landmark ruling this morning dealing with presidential immunity. Third, traffic and weather together.
Traffic is backed up on eastbound I-80 going towards Parley's Canyon near the Foothill exit, as well as the lane restrictions that hit you right around the quarry. We've got I-15 traffic starting to fill in a little bit more coming south out of Ogden, but no actual delays on I-15 at this point. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
A nice summer cool front will drop us to the 80s today. I'm Matt Johnson.
And let's see, right now we're at 68 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. It is the biggest Supreme Court case of the year and the biggest case on presidential power in decades. This morning, the justices will release their decision on whether the trial stemming from things that Donald Trump did on January 6th can proceed. ABC's Terry Moran is outside the Supreme Court.
Trump says that this case should be thrown out in its entirety because his lawyers argue former presidents can never be prosecuted for any official acts they take as presidents. They're absolutely immune, is the argument. And Trump says that everything he did was official. The special counsel says that is a recipe for disaster. Former presidents must be subject to criminal prosecution, he argues, or else their power to do wrong in office will be virtually unchecked.
Former Trump aide Steve Bannon reports to prison in Connecticut today for refusing to testify before the congressional committee looking into January 6th. ABC's Aaron Katersky says he will serve 4 months behind bars, during which time he'll take part in further legal proceedings.
Steve Bannon faces additional criminal charges in New York, where he's accused of defrauding donors to a private effort to build a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. He's scheduled to stand trial on those charges in September.
Hurricane Beryl bearing down on the Caribbean is a strong Category 3 storm. In parts of New Mexico, people have gone from fires to floods. In fact, ABC's Jim Ryan says many haven't let their guard down for months.
Floodwaters rushing down main streets in Ruidoso are contaminated with ash from wildfires burning on the outskirts of town. The New Mexico Army National Guard first rescued 4 elderly residents from a home that was quickly flooded. Guard members then helped another 4 dozen people to higher ground.
In a major blow to President Emmanuel Macron's centrist party, voters in France have given the first-round lead in legislative elections to Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally Party. You're listening to ABC News.
The involuntary manslaughter case against Alec Baldwin is on track for trial in July after a judge denied a request to dismiss the case on complaints that key evidence was damaged by the FBI during forensic testing. The judge sided with prosecutors in moving the case forward. Defense attorneys had argued that the gun in the fatal shooting was heavily damaged during FBI forensic testing before it could be examined for possible modifications that might exonerate the actor-producer. Well, the Supreme Court will rule whether former President Donald Trump has presidential immunity from charges related to official acts while in office. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy joined me this morning.
One of the questions, or one of the string of questions that was asked at oral argument in late April by conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett about private acts, and the Trump team conceding that private acts are not covered by any potential immunity. And that's where you wonder whether that's where the line might be drawn. What we don't know is whether and to what extent the court is willing to grant immunity to official acts. And that's the key question. And if the court issues a complicated ruling where it draws a line or says there's some sort of test that the lower courts should weigh or undertake before determining whether an official act is worthy or subject to prosecution, this could result in a lengthy back and forth, more appeals, and likely no trial before the election. So we'll have to see. There's really no way to know. All we can do is look back on the oral argument more than 2 months ago and assess the way certain judges seemed to be skeptical as they approached the question by virtue of the questions that they asked of the parties. And we can assume, but we'd be wrong in assuming too much. We have to be very cautious and wait for the opinion.
The question that I remember, and I think it was Justice Kagan who asked counsel, could the president, are you saying then that the president could order a coup as an official act and that he would have immunity from charges based on that? It was a fascinating argument. But as soon as we get that decision, next hour sometime, we'll share it with you. Legal expert Greg Skordas will join me next hour here in studio. We'll be watching the rulings for you this morning. That's just about 40 minutes away. Right now, 7:19, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And how's it looking, Andy?
It's looking a little bit busy now as you go from 90 south all the way up to the 215 interchange in Murray on I-15. So first, little bit of slowing creeping in, especially in the right lanes. Mountain View moving better now through West Valley than it was earlier this morning. And eastbound 201, you'll just wait a little bit at the 7200 West intersection. Otherwise, you're all clear crossing the valley there. Heather?
We just have a few delays at some of the city streets in Weber and Davis counties. Most of them right now are centered in Ogden on Washington Boulevard between 20th and 36th Streets. And then if you are on I-15 getting on in Ogden, it's less than 30 minutes into downtown Salt Lake City. If you need to catch a plane, you can't use traffic as an excuse for being late. You've got good speeds on Legacy Parkway in the West Side Belt. Eric?
We got some pretty significant delays on I-80 as you approach Foothill Drive because of a crash. And further up the line, we don't have any delays, but the potential for crashes is there because you got the right lane restricted due to some road work going on. And it's right at the end of a curve, so you don't see it coming up, and the folks in the right-hand lane are pinching in to that middle lane, and we had several near misses. So if you're approaching that, that's near the quarry, eastbound I-80 near the quarry. Be sure to get into that middle lane a little bit earlier than you would normally. I-15 in Utah County, northbound and southbound, that's in good shape. Celebrate the 4th with Lehigh Fireworks, the highest rated fireworks in Utah. Order at LehighFireworks.com for delivery or at 11 West Main in Lehigh. Use code LEHI10 for 10% off. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. Today will be delightful. 87 degrees, partly cloudy skies. We're down to 85, below normal on Tuesday, sunny skies. Back up to 90 on Wednesday, sunshine. Thursday, it's the 4th of July. I've got mostly sunny and a pleasant high of 87 degrees. 91 on Friday, sunny skies. 4th of July weekend, Saturday, Sunday, 94 and 97 with blue skies. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Let's see where we are this morning. 68 degrees, and the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. We are expecting the decisions from the Supreme Court to begin shortly after 8 o'clock our time this morning. Not sure if the big one on presidential immunity will come down first or second or last in the hour. I think they're planning on releasing all of the decisions today, but you never know until it actually comes down. So keep it here on KSL News Radio. And if you need to be away from the radio, if you're not signed up for our text alert service, it's super easy to do. You just text the word news all by itself, NEWS, to 57500. And then when there's a huge story like this, a big breaking story, we will send you just the nuts and bolts in a text form. So you can get it wherever you are and then read more later when you have time. That's our text alert service, news to 57500. Up next, we will get a look at the markets right before the opening bell. Money news is just ahead.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Forza Commercial is a premier commercial real estate firm specializing in development, property management, and equity raising here in Utah and across the United States. Principal Chris Hatch joins us with more.
Forza Commercial is a privately held commercial real estate company based in Salt Lake City, Utah. Our company is focused on delivering a full set of commercial real estate services to local and national real estate clients. We are consisted of 3 separate teams: Forza Capital, Forza Management, and Forza Development. Forza Capital raises equity with a pool of investors for our development projects and some third-party developer projects. Forza Development focuses primarily on building new retail projects. One of our passions is to recycle old, defunct buildings and make them new again. We currently have projects going with Cafe Rio, Dutch Bros, In-N-Out Burger, Starbucks, and Wells Fargo. Forza Management provides professional third-party property management for clients throughout the Western U.S. I feel privileged to work around the 40 talented individuals at our office. I'm blown away daily with their professionalism and expert knowledge.
Forza Commercial is dedicated to providing top-notch commercial real estate services to all clients, big or small. To learn more about the services they provide, visit their website, forzacommercial.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Good morning. I'm the 25% off window company.
25% off?
It's our biggest discount ever.
So what happened to the 40% off you were offering a couple months ago?
Well,
nothing. It's baloney. Hi, this is Kathy.
The Doug of Window World. When you hear those things, you know you've entered the baloney zone.
Resist the force of the baloney zone.
Call today.
281-8111.
Window World. Simply the best for less.
And that's no baloney.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Watching Utah's Money, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. A focus on AI is boosting tech sales. NVIDIA shares rose as much as 27% in June. Apple saw a 9.6% jump, and Microsoft shares went up 7.6%. Canada's second largest airline has reached a deal with its mechanics to end a strike that canceled over 800 flights this weekend. It is the busiest travel weekend of the season in Canada. Tesla's sales continue to drop. The company reported low deliveries in the second quarter. It's the first time the EV maker is posting 2 straight quarters of decline. All right, let's get a look at your money at this moment right before the opening bell. The Dow futures are up 40, that's 0.1%. S&P futures up 7.5, that's also 0.1. And the Nasdaq futures up 23, that's also 0.1. They've stayed in line all morning long. Right now, crude oil is up 51 cents. We're at $82.05 a barrel. Let's see, Mountain View Corridor northbound approaching 3500 South had some issues recently. I-15 slowing northbound through Sandy, and eastbound I-80 from Sugar House to the mouth of Parley's Canyon. Still a problem. We'll check all those areas. Traffic and weather together coming up next. Do you work out of your home at all? Maybe it's just part of your job, or maybe you run a small business out of your home. Whatever you do for a living, you might think about calling Les Olson IT and just having them take a look at your setup and find out, how's my cybersecurity? How's my data backup and my data storage? Is there anything about the way I'm working here that could be a threat to me or my company, my business, to my clients' data? Because, it's likely you're not an IT specialist. That's not what you do. You do what you do. And Les Olson IT does what it does. And they have been in the business of keeping us in business for many, many years. What a wonderful family-owned company. Way back when, they started with typewriters and then computers and then they, they did printers and copy. Do you need a copy machine? We need hard copies for some things still. You can even buy a refurbished copy machine from Les Olson IT. They'll even save you money on ink. This company is just wonderful, and they have engineers who, if you're not big enough to have your own help desk, let Les Olson IT be your help desk. They can be the one you go to and that your employees go to when they have help, when they need help with any kind of an IT issue. So I highly recommend Les Olson IT. They have 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas, and you can find out more at lesolson.com.
Utah news this summer will sizzle. July will mean a hot Republican convention, scalding temperatures, and the super cool announcement. For Salt Lake City 2034, keep updated each morning with Tim and Amanda from 5 to 9, Dave and Debbie and Boyd Matheson during the day, and Jeff Kaplan on the drive home from 3 to 7. Keep your KSL preset warm, and we'll report on every detail on KSL News Radio.
That is going to be a really exciting week on KSL. Tim is going to Paris. He will be reporting live for us all week long from the Olympic Media Center there in Paris, following the Salt Lake Olympic Committee members on the big day on the 24th when they announce the 2034 games. But he'll bring us all the flavor that whole week in Paris. I also wanted to let you know that the movie show this week is brought to you by My Hearing Centers. Schedule a hearing evaluation and be entered to win a set of premium hearing aids by tuning in Friday from 10 to 1. Right now, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Andy?
Amanda, right now travel is on I-15's running really slow between 106th going up towards 90th South. After that, the northbound 15 drive is pretty clear. SR 201, heaviest traffic is between 84 and 7200 West. And traffic on Mountain View, that's a little bit slow near 5400 South, but not so much through the West Valley part. Heather?
Still no brake lights southbound I-15 coming out of Ogden, heading south into downtown Salt Lake City. You also have good speeds Legacy Parkway, US 89, and I-84 through the mountains. We do have some heavier pockets of traffic from time to time in all the typical areas, but so far no accidents reported. Eric?
If you're eastbound I-80 from Sugar House into the mountains, we got a couple of problem spots. The first one is going to be a lot of delays from Sugar House past 2300 East over almost to the exit to go onto Foothill Drive. That's because of a disabled truck. Semi is over on the right. Now, when you get past that, we do have lane restrictions blocking off the far right lane. That's right at the quarry where you're going to see those barrels, but you're not going to see those barrels until after you go around the curve, and then it's very short notice, so be careful trying to get into that center lane, and the folks in the center lane are so far doing a pretty good job getting over to the left lane as fast as possible when necessary. I-15 Utah County, that's looking good right now. The Royal Court Pickleball Club in Harriman is the state's newest premier indoor pickleball facility. Learn more about pricing and reserving court time at royalcourtpickleballclub.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's going to be a beautiful day. 87 for a high, just a few clouds. 85 is our high tomorrow, so even cooler. Right now it's 68 downtown.
You're listening to Utah's Morning News with Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon
on KSL News Radio,
102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Good morning. KSL News Time is 7:30. Tim has the day off. KSL's top story this hour: an evacuation order was briefly issued at a small Washington County town after a fire broke out yesterday. KSL News Radio's Michael Commute joins us live and begins our coverage Utah Fire Watch. Michael?
Amanda, Central is the name of this town, and it's located in the northern half of the county off of Highway 18. A human-caused fire grew after sparking yesterday afternoon, and high winds meant firefighters had to play it extra safely. Consequently, an evacuation order was issued for this town. Unfortunately, firefighting pilots were able to drop enough water and retardant to stall the fire, according to the St. George News. Ultimately, the order was lifted, and crews worked into the night to manage the wildfire's remains. Still, at least 15 acres and one home was burned. Reporting live, Michael Commit, KSL News Radio.
The Little Twist fire is still burning near Beaver. Crews say hot, dry, and windy conditions this weekend did not help. Firefighters were able to keep the fire at 2,600 acres. The fire is currently 25% contained. Firefighters are preparing for a long holiday week. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson continues our team coverage, Fire Watch.
Fire station call volume goes through the roof, according to Benjamin Porter with Unified Fire Authority. So firefighters are being proactive by thinning out dry brush in vulnerable areas. They're also utilizing all of their resources.
We are staffing an additional water tender, 3 wildland brush trucks ready to respond to calls that are inevitably going to come from fireworks.
Porter says they're also doing a major push with their public service announcements on social media in anticipation of the holiday. Britt Johnson, KSL News Radio.
KSL weather with Matt Johnson.
We're going to be significantly cooler today. Yesterday's high was 101. That marked our 4th triple-digit day on the summer and for the month of June, when we typically average about only one day in the triples for June.
The rest of the week has temperatures in the 80s and 90s. KSL's top national stories now. Hurricane Beryl is moving through the southeastern Caribbean this morning. Grenadine's prime minister urged people on St. Vincent to take shelter.
You have to look out for the children. You have to look out for the old people.
Beryl is the earliest Category 4 hurricane on record. This morning it did weaken a bit to a Category 3 storm. ABC meteorologist Dan Amarante is tracking the storm's path.
It's likely going to cross over the Windward Islands, likely as a major hurricane. And then after that, it'll cross into the Caribbean Sea, making a run in the direction of Jamaica. So any interests around Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and even the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico all have to be watching this extremely closely as we head through the next few days.
He says it's still too soon to know if Beryl will have any impact on the mainland of the U.S. Boeing is seeking a plea deal with the Department of Justice. ABC's Allison Kosick reports.
I'm feeling denied justice.
Attorneys for the family say the proposed deal would allow Boeing to plead guilty to a conspiracy charge for misleading the FAA during its evaluation of the 737 MAX aircraft. That's the plane involved in the 2 crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia in 2018 and 2019. But under terms of the deal, Boeing would not have to acknowledge that its alleged conspiracy killed the 346 people lost in those crashes.
The deal would fine the company about $200 million, well short of the $20 billion families of victims requested. A new look at housing shows more single young women own homes compared to single young men. That's according to LendingTree in their study. The director of the Utah Women in Leadership Project at USU, Dr. Susan Madsen, says she's not surprised.
There's a statement that we've said for years, a man is not a financial plan. And women really thrive and want, actually, and yearn for more stability than a lot of men.
Madsen says there's also a trend of single women chipping in to buy homes with friends to cope with the high cost of housing in Utah. First look traffic now, and here is Andy Farnsworth.
Right now, if you're traveling on I-15, you've got some slowing coming up past 106 South in Sandy. We've got a big delay on I-80 right now from 1300 East all the way almost to Foothill, where a semi is broken down on the right after the split that you can either go to 215 or stay on I-80 to go into Parley's Canyon, and it's affecting the people trying to go into Parley's Canyon. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Police in Washington County are looking for a motive in a weekend murder.
Greg Lovell, Washington PD spokesman, says officers were called to an apartment complex just before 2 a.m. on Sunday.
Officers responded and found a male in his apartment that had been wounded via gunshot. And then officers rendered aid to him, and then he was eventually transported to the hospital here in St. George, where he was declared deceased.
Lovell says a witness, a female, was uninjured. The suspect was located and was taken into custody. A motive is under investigation. Mark Jackson, KSL News Radio.
A man charged with killing 19-year-old Dylan Rounds in Box Elder County will be sentenced today. Rounds went missing in 2022. 61-year-old James Brenner pled guilty to the murder in a plea deal. Today, some members of our new NHL team are hitting the ice for the first time since the team moved to Utah. KSL News Radio's Adam Small is live with details. Adam?
Amanda, the Utah Hockey Club today kicks off their development camp in Park City. This is specifically for the team's young players and all their new draft picks. They'll have on-ice workouts and even a public scrimmage at the Delta Center this Friday.
The pride that we have to wear the Utah colors and be here working out of Salt Lake, this is an amazing experience.
Utah GM Bill Armstrong tells KSL Sports they've been able to take some steps forward over the last few years, and he hopes they'll do the same this year, too. The team is looking for their first playoff appearance since 2020. Live at the Delta Center, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Some pretty big delays now on I-80 approaching the Foothill Drive exit. The backups extend all the way to 13th East. We'll check that and the rest of your commute just ahead.
Listen to KSL for news to get exactly what you want.
Stories about what's going to affect me.
Traffic. If I want to know now, I'll go to KSL Radio.
Hear the important stories, the stories that affect you.
On KSL News Radio.
Do you know why more homeowners choose Any Hour Services for help when it's time to replace their air conditioners? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the main reasons people choose Any Hour Services is because of our people, processes, and convenience. People tell us all the time that there's just something different about having an Any Hour Services technician in their home. That's why our over 23,000 Google reviews mention our technicians by name. Another reason is our 7-step install process that we call the Any Hour Difference. It all starts with the needs analysis, where you explain what you like and dislike about your current system. This helps us design and size a system that fits your comfort and efficiency preferences as well as your home's airflow requirements. As for convenience, most of our installs are completed in one day. We also have flexible, no-money-down financing options available, even if you've been told no in the past. So if you've been thinking about getting a new air conditioner, call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate today. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
July is National Cashback Month. Didn't know? Okay, maybe it's not National Cashback Month. But at Hercules First Federal Credit Union, they think a cashback month is a great idea.
It's a great idea.
Told ya. So get ready for Cashback in July.
Cashback in July?
Okay, that's enough. But first, let's talk benefits of being a member at Hercules. You'll receive $150 when you open a new checking account with a qualifying direct deposit, as well as getting access to travel rewards and cash back with the Hercules Lifestyle Rewards debit card. Get up to 25% cash back when you use Ticket Express to purchase tickets for theme parks, movie theaters, and local events starting July 1st through the 31st. Details await at HerculesCU.com. That's HerculesCU.com. Hercules Credit Union, growing stronger together. Equal housing lender, all accounts insured to $250,000 by NCUA.
Some people had to be evacuated from a small Washington County town yesterday because a fire broke out. That evacuation order has been lifted. We're following that fire and all the fire conditions around the state this morning. 7:39 now, traffic and weather together. Brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Andy.
And right now, if you're traveling on I-15, we've got problems on both sides of the freeway in Midvale. Southbound, crews have done a traffic slowdown to move something out of the way, and so traffic is backing up between 7200 and 90 south. That's heading south. But on the northbound side, we've got a crash on the collector ramp from I-15 to 215. So There's about a mile of delays just off the main flow on North 15 on the collector, plus some slowing around 53rd South in Murray to deal with as well. Heather?
No such problems to deal with up north in Weber and Davis counties. Not only are we accident-free on city streets and major freeways, almost all the traffic is traveling at the posted speed limit. That's especially true on I-84, I-15, Legacy Parkway. Some of the city streets are a bit congested. When lights turn red, you'll see a bit of backup there. Eric?
Big delays eastbound I-80 from 1300 East up to, just before the Foothill Drive exit because of a disabled semi east of 2300 East. That's over on the right side. So you've got a lot of slowing there. And if you continue on into the canyon, just remember that you've got the right lane blocked around the quarry, and folks are having a hard time seeing that coming around a corner there. So we hope that'll stay crash-free as you head out towards the Park City area. I-15 in Utah County, northbound, southbound, that looks good. Experience the best at the Moran Eye Center, located in your neighborhood. Get the care you need for anything from dry eye to cataracts. Moran provides hope, understanding, and treatment for all. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
And the KSL Pollen Report is brought to you by the Moran Eye Center.
KSL Pollen Report has grass and ragweed in the moderate. Trees, for once, are in the low, and same with mold. Now, working into midweek out towards the 4th of July, it does look like pollen count will go up into the high category for grass. However, ragweed and trees remain in the same spot. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now it's 72 degrees downtown, and Matt will pop by again in a minute to talk a little bit about this holiday week forecast. We'll go a little more in depth just ahead on KSL News Radio. And you can, of course, stream us live at kslnewsradio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. It is time now for Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, brought to you by the law offices of Jordan Wilcox.
Turns out our gorgeous new airport is #1 in the country for on-time performance. So what makes us so good? Well, for one, we're masters of snow removal. No sooner does the first flake hit than the men in the massive snowplows get to work clearing a path for planes that have been doused in de-icing solution. Also putting us on top, the airport's new and has the best technology, snazzy new computers. But that's not enough to make you the best. As we all know, a deluge in Dallas or a nor'easter in New York can cause a cascading effect that would trickle down to Salt Lake like a leak in the tunnel between Concourse A and B, which happened recently.
So it was pretty surprising to see that much water just coming out of the ground in the tunnel there.
That longest mile between points A and B became Salt Lake's newest lake for a day. You didn't need a kayak to get to your gate, but time-challenged travelers traversed the troublesome tunnel, and the planes left on time for California, for Kansas City, and for Kathmandu. Really? But they've yet to figure out a permanent fix for the water leak seeping up from an underground lake. After all, the Great Salt Lake is practically next door, but for now, a little duct tape and a temporary fix are just enough to keep travelers moving on time to Calgary, to Corpus Christi, or your connection to Kathmandu. It's in Nepal. At our top-rated airport, every voyage begins with that first step. And then a couple thousand more as you lug your possessions 0.6 of a mile, getting your steps and getting to your gate, a sojourn so long. One person suggested a unique Utonian announcement at baggage claim.
Please leave your handcart at the end of your journey.
So, pioneers, we're #1, but I can't say no sweat, because you do, getting to your gate.
Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News, only on KSL News Radio.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, keep in mind, it's not just you.
My name is Phil, and I got myself into a little bit of tax trouble by not filing taxes. I got a notice from the IRS for not filing, and another notice, and added up to like $100,000 that I owed them. As I'm sitting there at work and in shock and tearing up, what am I going to do? Because that's a lot of money.
Don't face the IRS alone. With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
Jordan actually was close to my office in Layton, and they got the IRS to settle for $10,500.
You need someone to fight for you.
From $100,000 to $10,500 was just incredible.
Visit taxhelput.com and get relief today. Let's solve your tax problems now. Visit taxhelput.com.
Saved me from being homeless, I would imagine, and just made my world a better place.
That's taxhelput.com.
KSL News Time is 7:45. The three things you need to know this hour.
A
First,
small town in Washington County was briefly put under an evacuation order after a wildfire broke out. But fortunately, firefighters brought it under control. I'm KSL News Radio's Michael Commute.
second, firefighters are preparing for a long holiday week, and they're asking all of us to be careful with fireworks. Third, traffic and weather together.
I-15 backed up northbound around Point of the Mountain. Some slowdowns in Midvale. They got a southbound slowdown that Highway Patrol did. They've just released the traffic, but we've still got southbound slowdowns Midvale to Sandy. And I-80 backed up from 1300 East all the way to Foothill because of a stalled semi. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Temperatures fall below normal today and even cooler tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, 72 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. And time for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. This is the Supreme Court's final day of the term, and the justices will hand down a critical decision this morning on whether former President Donald Trump has immunity from actions related to the January 6th riot. President Biden's family gathered at Camp David over the weekend, urging him to stay in the presidential race and keep fighting despite last week's dismal debate performance. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
Biden's campaign team making it clear that the president will not step aside, telling allies in a memo obtained by ABC News that Biden got off to a slow start, but then drew a sharp contrast with Trump on the issues that matter most to voters, and arguing to supporters that if Biden were to drop out now, it would lead to weeks of chaos, internal food fighting, and a highway to losing to Donald Trump. Some of Biden's top allies insisting one bad night will not derail his campaign.
Hurricane Beryl has re-strengthened into an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane in the Caribbean. Maximum sustained winds 130 miles an hour. This is ABC News.
It's going to be a hot 4th of July, but maybe not as hot as you think. KSL meteorologist Matt Johnson joins me live. Let's talk about the weather through the holiday, Matt.
Yeah, so, we had some baking hot weather yesterday, 101.
Yeah.
And it was windy, high fire danger. And that high fire danger will carry over into today because we're bringing in a cool front. So central and southern Utah, low humidities anywhere from 7 to 14%, gusts up to 40 down there. And, I'd say elevated fire danger for northern Utah, but it's mainly in the south because that's where most of the vegetation is now starting to dry out. And so it's more available to burn than the mountains of northern Utah where it's a little more green. So, but yeah, cool weather expected as we head, into the 4th as well.
Cool. And that we're not even going to get to 90 degrees, right?
Yeah, exactly. So today's 87. Tomorrow's 85.
That's going to feel so good.
It's going to feel amazing. And then 90 on Wednesday. That's right on the dot, normal for the date. And the 4th of July, we were talking about this. It almost feels like it's been quite some time since we've seen a 4th of July in the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s.
It's usually, upper 90s, near 100, if not more.
I can remember working parades, and maybe I'm confusing it with the 24th, where it was just stifling, exhausting 100-degree heat on the actual holiday. And since families are out together of young and old ages, it's nice to have it be a little cooler.
It's going to be nice, and I'm hoping that the wind cooperates for all the fireworks shows.
All right, well, let's talk about the wind. How much wind do you expect in the next couple of days?
Right, so I think today and tomorrow it'll be a little bit breezy, and then a little more quiet as we head into the 4th. But there is some models saying, hey, we might throw in a little bit of a cool front, and that might kick up some winds. But nothing like yesterday, right? Yesterday was rather breezy.
Yeah.
But there is a chance we see some wind. But for now, leaning towards pretty good.
And it doesn't look too strong that it'd get in the way of fireworks displays.
Yeah, no,
or anything.
I'm trying to remember the threshold. I want to say it's around maybe 15 to 20 miles an hour is where they're kind of like, okay, we can't shoot these fireworks. This is, windy.
But it doesn't look that bad. Okay, don't go away. Let's come back and look at the rest of the 7-day forecast in just a second. Right now it's 7:49. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And back to you, Andy.
Hey, right now, if you're on I-15, we've got delays in both directions as you go up and down around 7200 south. Southbound was because I think there was a crash and they did a traffic slowdown. Now they've released the traffic, but it's still bunched up between 215 and about 7800 south. Northbound side, you've got delays between Bluffdale and Bangerter, and then from 106th up to 90th, plus a little bit of slowing around 33rd south. Heather?
We're looking really good still through Weber and Davis counties. You've got a little bit of slowdown, though, on US 89 right where it meets with Harrison Boulevard in the South Ogden area. That's both northbound and southbound. No delays, though, on I-15. Traffic is a bit heavy as you head south from Clearfield to Farmington, but after that, you're really good speed into downtown Salt Lake. Eric.
A lot of slowing approaching the mouth of Parley's Canyon eastbound I-80 from 1300 east over to just before the Foothill Drive exit. That's because of a semi that's disabled and over on the right side. And you've got northbound slowing on the 215 east belt heading up to the mouth of the canyon. Into the canyon, eastbound lane restrictions right around the quarry. You're blocking off one right lane down in Tooele County. SR 36 looking good right now going up to I-80. Thinking of a kitchen remodel? Dern's matches every competitor's price, and you get rebates on single appliances or whole kitchen appliance packages. Dern's also offers next-day delivery on 5th South and Bountiful or DernsAppliance.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
All right, let's get a look now at that 7-day forecast. It's brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Review for us, Matt, and then take us through the weekend.
All right. Hey, as advertised, it is going to be fantastic today. 87 degrees, partly cloudy skies, maybe a little bit of a north breeze. 85 tomorrow, sunny skies, and then we go 90 on Wednesday. And look at the 4th. Thursday, the 4th of July, 87 is what the forecast calls for right now. Could see a little bit of an afternoon breeze, but all in all, nice. Friday, 91, and then we're back up into the mid and upper 90s as we head into Saturday and Sunday. So I've been telling people all morning long, if you like the heat for the 4th, right? Doesn't feel like the 4th unless you have it. Just wait till the weekend.
Yeah, and then you'll get those up near 100 again. All right, thank you, Matt. Right now, let's see where we are this morning. Just a few clouds and 72 degrees. We are about 10 minutes away from the first decision from the U.S. Supreme Court. We're expecting several today. We think they'll wrap up the session by giving us what remains today, including the decision on presidential immunity that Trump took to the Supreme Court. This is going to be really interesting to see how they rule on the former president's petition to say that he has absolute immunity for anything done officially while in office. How the court defines that and where they come down, we'll share it with you as soon as we get it here on KSL. And coming up next, we'll get a look at Money News.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. I get a lot of emails from people all the time. Here's one. Dear Dan, I hear your talk about a lifetime service guarantee. Free? Really? Please help me avoid all your fine print and be honest about what free means. You understand that we should be very wary of a free offer. Signed, Skeptical. Hi, Skeptical. I remember 22 years ago when we started PC Laptops and our lifetime service guarantee, people thought it was too good to be true. Well, after a decade, people started believing me a little bit. But it's been 22 years of having the privilege to serve our friends and neighbors like you. Our lifetime service guarantee has become the most trusted warranty in the industry. You can get a brand new PC Laptops desktop computer, and they start at only $29 a month. Check us out at PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com. Here's to seeing you soon, Skeptical.
Hi, this is Doug Wright with yet another great experiment you can try right there at home. I want you to take 4 bags of water softener salt. Lift 3 of the bags with one hand, good luck on that, and 1 bag with your other hand. Now, if you're like most people, you'll probably find that 3 bags of salt weigh about 3 times as much as 1 bag of salt. And that's an important thing to keep in mind when you're shopping for a water softener. You see, Connecticut of Utah, an authorized Connecticut dealer, their water softeners are so well designed, they use only 1 bag of salt for every 3 that other water softeners use. Now, I can't speak for you, but I'm not a fan of lower back pain, and as our little experiment has hopefully demonstrated, carrying that 1 bag of salt, it's a lot easier on your back than carrying 3. That's just one of the many reasons you should look into water softeners from Connecticut of Utah, an authorized Connecticut dealer. To learn more, call Connecticut of Utah, 801-576-8600, or go to softwaterutah.com.
This song doesn't have a name, but if it did, it'd probably be something about togetherness, because it's a collaboration, not between pop stars and producers, but between music therapists and kids. Music therapy is a treatment that doesn't involve medication or needles, and it's been proven to help children manage pain and contribute to faster healing. So it shouldn't surprise you, it's our favorite song. And just one way we partner with you for a life well lived. Intermountain Health, the power of we.
Watching Utah's Money, brought to you by Trajan Wealth, your trusted local fiduciary advisors, TrajanWealth.com. The Biden administration is pausing student loan collections for around 3 million borrowers. They're suspending payment and interest charges. A luxury brand is collaborating with a condiment company this summer. Kate Spade is releasing accessories and clothing based on Heinz ketchup. The collection includes a ketchup packet purse, ketchup bottle purse, and even a ketchup glitter phone case. Okay. Companies are looking for more part-time workers than full-time workers. Indeed reports that the demand for full-time workers has been flat since 2022. In that same time period, part-time employment has jumped 9%. Let's get a look at your money at this moment. Just before the opening bell, there's been a little movement. The Dow futures shot up 263, which is 0.7. S&P futures up a fraction, just 3 points. But the NASDAQ futures went down. They're now negative 51, which is about 0.3%. Northbound and southbound slowing this morning on I-15 approaching 90th South in Sandy, as well as continued eastbound 80 delays approaching Foothill. We'll check all of the above coming up next on KSL.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
The sun is out and the temps are up. It's time to seize the day and hit the road. You were born to ride. And now's the time to make your dreams a reality. Imagine the wind in your hair as you cruise on your very own power scooter. Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical, and these scooters aren't just for getting around. They're your ticket to freedom. With speeds up to 6 miles per hour, you'll own the road like never before. From graduation to concerts and vacations, our power scooters will get you there in style and ease. Don't wait another minute. The time to ride is now. Let's start your adventure today. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
Beehive Plumbing now offers premier service. 10 years of coverage on both parts and labor. Call or visit beehivepremier.com for expert experience every time.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Dead battery on America's birthday? America's #1 battery destination is here to help. AutoZone has free battery testing and charging at every store, and batteries starting at just $79.99. With our 4th of July sale, we have savings to help you red, white, and do any other jobs you've been putting off. It's everything you need to get back on the road at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
What's wrong?
My travel rewards card didn't earn enough miles for my vacation.
Are you crying? Are you crying because of that other credit card?
Uh-huh.
Well, switch to the Capital One Venture card. Venture lets you redeem miles on any travel purchase.
Really?
Yep, and you earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every single day. The Capital One Venture card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
My name is Dale Pazinski. I volunteer with United Way to help the homeless in my community learn computer skills and build a basic resume. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Hey, you there with the sparkler or that 500-gram Ariel? Keep a water hose nearby, and for heaven's sake, don't light them out of bounds. And bonus points if you lay off after midnight. We all love fireworks, but we love safe homes and a good night's sleep. A reminder from your friends at KSL News Radio.
7:59, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And how's it looking now, Andy?
Well, our northbound 15 slowdowns are going through a large stretch of the valley. Bluffdale to Bangor stop and go, and then just reduced speeds and some real heavy traffic between about 114th and 7200 south, and some additional delays just before 33rd South and I-80. We've got southbound slowing on I-15, left over from when Highway Patrol did a slowdown, a controlled slowdown earlier. So switching from 215 to South 15, a bit clogged up in Midvale. Heather?
Traffic is still at speed. Southbound 15 from Ogden past North Salt Lake, but once you get to around Beck Street or Warm Springs Road, you will start slowing down the rest of the way into downtown Salt Lake. It's adding about a minute or two to your commute. No problems on I-84 through the mountains. City streets are extremely congested now. In Ogden, Harrison Boulevard is the worst right now. as you make your way between 20th and 12th Streets. Eric.
One big problem spot this morning, eastbound I-80, as you go from the Sugar House area over towards the Foothill Drive exit. This is because of a tanker truck that became disabled and looks like must be blocking off, at least partially, a right lane. Otherwise, we wouldn't have so much delays. It starts just before 1300 East. Now, if you continue eastbound into the mountains, you've got lane restrictions at the quarry. That's blocking off one right lane. Be careful going through there. This is the Place Heritage Park, your place for family fun and July celebrations with a flag ceremony, live music, Pioneer Day concert, activities, and more. Visit thisistheplace.org. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today's high 87 degrees, just a few clouds cooler tomorrow. 85 for a high, 90 on Wednesday. And look at this, our July 4th will only get up to 87 degrees. Right now downtown, 72 degrees.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, we're counting down 23 days until the historic announcement, Salt Lake City 2034.
Good morning. KSL News Time is 8 o'clock. This is Utah's Morning News. I'm Amanda Dixon. Tim has the day off. KSL's top story this hour, we've had some strong winds overnight and this morning, and winds could be even stronger in parts of the state this afternoon, which has prompted a red flag warning in central and southern Utah. KSL News Radio's Adam Small begins our live team coverage, Utah Fire Watch. Adam?
Amanda, that red flag warning goes into effect at noon and lasts until 9 o'clock tonight. It encompasses parts of Washington, Iron, Beaver, Millard, Juab, Garfield, and Kane counties, along with parts of the Colorado and Green Rivers.
In effect for gusty winds and a low RH, so just windy and dry conditions.
National Weather Service meteorologist Nicole DeSmet tells me they're forecasting wind gusts up to 35 miles an hour in these parts of the state. As always, be extra careful, especially with putting out campfires on days like this, and also not parking your car over grass and making sure it's not dragging any chains or anything that could create sparks. Reporting live, Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Starting this morning, several counties here in northern Utah are now under Stage 1 fire restrictions. KSL News Radio's Michael Commute continues our live team coverage, Utah Fire Watch. Michael?
Amanda, Utah, Weber, Salt Lake, and 6 other counties are under this restriction right now. You see, Stage 1 forbids open fires outside of public facilities or campgrounds, similar to the Campground of America in Salt Lake City I'm currently at right now. It also prohibits smoking outside of enclosed areas or driving an ATV without an approved and working spark arrestor. These restrictions and others went into effect at midnight, and the season has the highest levels of wildfire risk over the past 3 years. That finding comes from Fire Management Officer Dustin Richard, who also says all the runoff means more vegetation can dry out and become a potential fuel source for wildfires. Reporting live from Salt Lake County, Michael Commit, KSL News Radio.
Fireworks will light the sky legally starting tomorrow night. Fire officials want to make sure everyone knows the rules. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr reports.
Some rules in areas where fireworks can be lit depend on the city you're in, but general guidelines that apply statewide include always having water handy, never relighting a dud firework, and not mixing alcohol and fireworks. The state fire marshal reminds Utahns that if you start a fire by not following the rules, you can be held accountable for the cost to fight the fire and the cost for all the damage it causes. He recommends attending professional shows rather than setting them off yourself.
Local firework restrictions can be found on city websites. Breaking news this morning on KSL. Here is the first case this morning from the Supreme Court. This is not the one on former President Trump and presidential immunity. This case is probably one that you haven't been following, but important nonetheless. It's about statute of limitations. If you bring a claim under the Administrative Procedure Act, the claim does not accrue for purposes of the statute of limitation until the plaintiff is injured by a final agency action. So it doesn't start to run when the action happens. It starts to run when the injury occurs. But that's probably too much in the weeds for most of us. We'll keep following it and see when the next case comes down, whether it's the social media case or the one on former President Trump. A former President Trump advisor and longtime ally reports to prison today. Steve Bannon was convicted on contempt of Congress charges.
Steve Bannon says he expects to see a landslide win for Republicans this November, telling ABC's This Week,
"We have a 100% certainty
we could beat Biden and beat him big. Take the Senate and pick up seats in the House.
Bannon was convicted of a felony in 2022 for failing to cooperate with a congressional investigation into the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
ABC's Mike Dubusky says Bannon asked the Supreme Court to allow him to remain free while he appeals, but the court denied that request. Bannon was sentenced to 4 months in prison. The Utah Supreme Court has ruled against a citizens' movement that wanted to keep people 81 and older off the ballot.
A citizens' movement to remove candidates from the 2024 ballot was turned away by the Lieutenant Governor's office. The office said the initiative was unconstitutional. The proponents of that movement then sued Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, but the Utah State Supreme Court sided in her favor, agreeing that such measures were unconstitutional. The initiative would have meant any candidate above the age of 81 would be removed from the ballot. Dale Spalding, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic now on a Monday morning, and back over to you, Andy.
And right now, if you're traveling through the valley, North 15 is going to have it worse than southbound 15. We've got a little bit of bumper-to-bumper around the Bluffdale area and some slowdowns in Murray to South Salt Lake. I-80's got the worst of all the freeways in the valley, eastbound between about 700 East and the mouth of Parley's Canyon. We have a semi that broke down near the Foothill exit, and that's just sort of just stacked the backups all the way into Sugar House, plus some slowing on 215's east side to go into Parley's Canyon as well. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
If it feels like you're spending more time sitting in traffic, you're probably right. A new study found that traffic congestion has increased along the Wasatch Front. KSL News Radio's Amy Kobabe explains.
It's all about that time you're sitting there waiting for traffic to move. Traffic analytic company INREX estimates that the average driver spent 23 hours stuck in congestion last year. That's 4 more hours than the year before. And if you're trying to change the time you drive to get away from it, good luck. They also estimate that more people are driving in the middle of the day.
INREX estimates all this time stuck in traffic equates to $400 lost for the average driver. That's the amount you could have earned had you not been stuck in traffic. A detour along Teton Pass is officially open 3 weeks after a landslide closed the highway. They expect the road to be repaired before the winter. A hit-and-run suspect is in custody after police say the driver turned into oncoming traffic and forced another car into a building. Police say the driver had turned the wrong way out of a parking lot and drove over a median. Police say alcohol is being investigated as a possible factor. A brazen robbery happened in Saratoga Springs over the weekend when a woman's wallet was stolen from a purse under a table at a restaurant. Jade Lucero tells KSL TV's Brianna Chavez she and her mom were shocked the theft happened right under them.
The little girl and her family walked over to our table and said, "We saw a lady just barely take it," and they just left.
Jade's mother quickly canceled her debit and credit cards, later noticing charges made worth hundreds of dollars.
We just couldn't believe someone could be so brazen and do it. And I mean, anybody could have been watching. Obviously, that little girl was watching.
A suspect with a similar description is accused of robbing someone else in a Riverton restaurant. We have some major delays for drivers on eastbound I-80 thanks to a broken down semi approaching the Foothill Drive exit. We'll check that and the rest of your commute just ahead.
KSL in the palm of your hand.
When the app came out, I knew that I could stream the radio station directly through there.
I just checked there to see if there's anything pertinent. I regularly use the KSL app.
Get the app for KSL News Radio.
Attention talcum powder users. Have you had ovarian or gynecological cancer? A proposed $8 billion plan will pay those who believe they got sick from using talc products, like Johnson's Baby Powder and Shower to Shower. Johnson & Johnson maintains its products are safe. You have until July 26, 2024 to vote to accept or reject the plan. For more information, visit officialtalclaims.com or call 888-431-4056. Paid for by LLT Management, LLC.
Celebrate July 4th with savings at Lowe's. For a limited time, save on the essentials you need to make your garden pop for summer, like Miracle-Gro 25-quart potting mix. Get 2 bags for just $16. And get up to 40% off, plus save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances. Hurry, these deals won't last long, because Lowe's knows summer savings. Valid through 7/10. Miracle-Gro excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Appliance savings vary based on purchase amount. Exclusions apply. See Lowe's.com for more details while supplies last.
I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, debunking 3 myths about fiduciaries. And you're going to be surprised about myth number 3. Myth number 1. Fiduciaries are too expensive. Not at Trajan Wealth. Our interests are aligned with yours, so we don't need to push costly investments. The more you make, the more we make. It's that simple. Myth number 2, they will only want to sell me something. Absolutely not. At Trajan Wealth, we have hearts of teachers, and it's our goal to educate and empower, not sell. And the biggest myth, myth number 3, fiduciaries are only for the wealthy. Not at Trajan Wealth. Whether you have 50 grand or 50 million, we know it was hard-earned and we'll treat it as such. Let's grow together. So, here's your opportunity for 100% complimentary professional Q&A. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
We've only had one case so far from the U.S. Supreme Court. It is not the one we're waiting for on presidential immunity. This one was about a statute of limitations question. We'll keep watching it here on KSL. 8:09, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And back over to you, Andy.
I-15 slowdowns have now kind of settled into just a couple of areas, northbound between Point of the Mountain and Bangerter, and then from 53rd South up into South Salt Lake. All right, now 201 freeway's got some delay, but only minor slowdowns at 7200 West. It had been pretty clear through there most of the morning until now. Heather?
And we're looking pretty good if you're making your way through Weber and Davis counties. We're starting to see our typical slowdowns, though, southbound I-15 as you pass the North Interchange and head into downtown Salt Lake City. It's adding maybe a minute to your drive. You're just seeing some brake lights. No real delays on US 89 Legacy Parkway, but some of the city streets are a bit congested, especially when lights turn red. Eric.
I-80 delays now stretching back almost all the way to 700 East. Once you go past that exit, you're going to be in slowdown mode all the way to where a truck became disabled on approach to the Foothill Drive exit. It's going to be really slow that whole way. You do have some reduction of speeds northbound on the 215 East belt from just before 3300 South to where you get into the mouth of Parley's Canyon. And then if you head east on I-80 out by the quarry, you've still got one right lane reduced, so you're going to have to make your way past that using 2 lanes, and that gets a little bit tight right as you approach those barrels because it's at the end of a curve, and you're going to want to get over to the middle earlier if possible. I-15 in Utah County, no problems there. I'm Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cooler air moves in for today, high of 87 and partly cloudy skies. Overnight, 62, mostly clear. Into Tuesday afternoon, 85, sunny skies. We're back up to 90 by Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now, let's see where we are this morning, 72 degrees. We are standing by this morning for the additional cases to come down from the U.S. Supreme Court, particularly watching for the one that involves presidential immunity. As soon as it does, we'll share it with you here on KSL, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. Most of us have to know a little bit about IT, no matter what we do for a living. I mean, no matter what business you're in, you have to know at least enough that you can run your own software and maybe do your own books, who knows? But when it comes to the bigger picture, like, is my data safe? I don't want the first time I talk to a cybersecurity expert to be after I've been compromised. I want to call Les Olson IT today and just say, would you come and do a once-over? Just take a look at my setup. Is my data backed up? Is my data stored in a way that's safe? Is my client data safe? Do I need to add anything to my setup here? Because at the end of the day, you do what you do. You sell what you sell or provide a service. And IT, I leave when it comes to big things like client data, I leave that to Les Olson IT because they've been in the business of supporting Utah businesses for decades. Way back when they started off with computers and printers and copy machines and all of it, which they still do, by the way, because some of us still needed to have things in hard copy. They still have all of that to support you. But now they have Les Olson IT to back you up in all of the ways that your business needs to be backed up. Find out more. They have 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas. Go to lesolson.com.
And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat.
Join Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater July 5th through August 3rd for show-stopping performances in Logan. Professional performers from Broadway and all over bring you Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats, the lively classic Guys and Dolls, the hilarious Anything Goes with spectacular tap dancing and music by Cole Porter, cult classic Little Shop of Horrors, and Puccini's opera Gianni Schicchi with its sequel Buoso's Ghost. Stop the commercial! I'm interrupting myself to tell you that Utah students K through 12 can get a free ticket to all Utah Festival performances this summer. Claim yours online now. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Cult classic Little Shop of Horrors and Puccini's opera Gianni Schicchi with its sequel Buoso's Ghost. Plus, late-night cabarets, 5 concerts, breakfast with the stars, academy classes, and more. Tickets at utahfestival.org. utahfestival.org.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth. And if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS has raised the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes in recent years. This hits hard if you're behind on your taxes. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. If you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
8:15 at KSL. Time for the 3 things you need to know this hour. First,
parts of central and southern Utah are under a red flag warning until 9 o'clock tonight. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, a new study shows the average Utahn spent 23 hours stuck in traffic congestion last year. Third, traffic and weather together.
I-15 delays continue to be an issue in Bluffdale and South Salt Lake. I-80 backed up from Sugar House all the way to the mouth of Parley's Canyon. And we got slowdowns on the 215 transition going north through the roadwork zone between 33rd South and the turn to I-80 as well. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
A nice summer cool front will drop us to the 80s today. I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, 72 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. And time for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The U.S. Supreme Court is getting ready to deliver its biggest ruling so far. The decision expected shortly on whether presidents, including Donald Trump, deserve absolute immunity for actions taken while in office. Here's ABC national correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
Most experts expect the High Court to figure out some way for the January 6th case against Trump to continue. They noted what conservative Justice Amy Coney Barrett asked of Trump attorney John Sauer at the oral argument in late April.
You concede that private acts don't get immunity.
We do. But the scope and breadth of the election interference case against Trump will hinge on whether the court draws a line at official acts, and if so, where. A complicated ruling could spark another round of appeals, further delaying the trial. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Debate aftermath. Former Presidents Obama and Clinton, as well as the Biden family, all urging President Biden to stick with his campaign. Despite last week's dismal performance, here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
Some of Biden's top allies insisting one bad night will not derail his campaign. But Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin admitting there are honest and serious conversations happening within the party. The president heading to Camp David for the weekend as the New York Times editorial board called for him to step aside, insisting continuing his campaign would be a reckless gamble.
Donald Trump's former aide Steve Bannon reporting to federal prison today to serve his 4-month sentence for refusing to testify in front of the congressional January 6th special committee. Flying this week for 4th of July or some other reason? Get there early and be prepared to stand in line.
This comes on the heels of weeks of what's already been record-setting travel as we are just now getting into the busiest stretch so far. And TSA says it's expecting to screen 28 million people for the 4th of July window. That's from this past Friday through next Monday, July 8th. That's a 5.5% increase from last year.
That's ABC's Trevor Ault. Hurricane Beryl strengthening now into a Category 4. You're listening to ABC News.
Dave Noriega joins me in studio, and we're talking this morning, Dave, about the tragic loss of the Salt Lake City fire chief.
Yeah, Michael Harp, he's 54 years old. The reason this spoke to me, Amanda, is I used to be a whitewater rafting guide for probably 15 years. I've done this. I've done it the rest of my life. So I know this area of the Green River, Dinosaur National Monument. It's Gates of Lodore. And as I was looking at this and reminding myself about this rapid, it was an incredibly technical rapid.
What do you mean by that?
There's a lot of rocks. So when you're in a boat and he's in a rafting boat, it's very difficult to dodge rock after rock, and there's a lot of really dangerous areas where you can get hung up on. And we're going to reach out to the Utah Division of Outdoor Recreation and talk about whitewater rafting because it's extremely popular right now, especially Green River, Colorado River area, because it's so hot. It's a perfect time to go whitewater rafting. I rode these, I guided these trips all the time, and just some good reminders. And it seems like this man did everything right.
And
this
he was a pro. He was really good at it.
A total pro.
Yeah.
And he was so outdoorsy and really adventurous. So this was, I'm not saying he did anything wrong, but if you are interested in whitewater rafting, there's very clear ways to do it in a safe manner. There's times when you do want to pay for a guide to take you down professionally, even if it can be very expensive.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain places where you want to do that. There's others where you can float down in your jacket and be completely safe and just play around.
And at the end of the day, it's a dangerous sport. All the expertise in the world is not going to prevent something like this.
Yeah, it still can. And that's what is so heartbreaking is you can do everything right, and there's just a level of unknown that you can get sucked into, and a few missed paddle strokes can put you in a very dangerous situation. So a heartbreaking story, but I think we can give you some good tips of how to do it safely.
I'll look forward to that, Dave. Thank you. Who's filling in for Debbie today?
Taylor Morgan.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Taylor Morgan joins you on Dave and Dujanovic. Right now it's 8:19. Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And back over to you, Andy.
Slowdowns I-15 continue from Bangerter Highway up to almost 123rd South. If you're getting on the freeway a little bit further north, you'll hit some slowdowns right now just before 53rd and 4500 South. 201, though, back to the full speed limit as you head through Magna, but 3500 South, slow in Magna, especially near 7200 West. Heather?
We've been problem-free all morning long through Weber and Davis counties. You may encounter a little bit of congestion at some of the larger intersections when lights turn red, and you have some brake lights southbound I-15 as you get really close to downtown Salt Lake City, but there are no accidents, no big delays, I-84, US 89, or Legacy Parkway. Eric?
Getting to the mouth of Harley's Canyon, a big problem this morning, especially for eastbound I-80 drivers, where normally you don't have any delays. You have the tanker truck that became disabled right before the Foothill Drive exit, and so the delays extend all the way back to 700 East, and even on northbound the 215 eastbound, northbounders there are going to run into slowing approaching 3300 South and into the mountains. I-80 got the right lane restricted at the quarry, so you're down to 2 lanes there. Be careful going through. Don't miss the 90th annual Ute Stampede Rodeo with a special night of extreme bulls. July 10th, more value, explosive entertainment, music, food, and days of fun. July 10th through the 13th, visit UteStampedeRodeo.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. Today will be delightful. 87 degrees, partly cloudy skies. We're down to 85 below normal on Tuesday, sunny skies. Back up to 90 on Wednesday, sunshine. Thursday, it's the 4th of July. I've got mostly sunny and a pleasant high of 87 degrees. 91 on Friday, sunny skies. 4th of July weekend, Saturday, Sunday, 94 and 97 with blue skies. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, let's see. We're at 72 degrees downtown, and the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. We do have the second case down from the Supreme Court. This is the one on social media and the laws from Texas and Florida that commented on the restriction of social media companies being able to deplatform people. Greg Scortis is going to jump on with me, and we'll talk more about the holding of that case coming up in just a moment here on KSL News Radio.
A happy place comes in many colors. One that leaves you feeling refreshed. Something that gets you all fired up. Or gives you the space to chill. Whatever your color, bring happiness home with CertaPro Painters and make your happy place your home. CertaPro Painters. That's painting happy. Get started today at CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Contractor license and registration information is available at CertaPro.com.
Stop paying 5-star pricing for 3-star service. It's time for a change. Welcome to Beehive Plumbing's Premier Experience. With our Beehive Premier plan, you have access to our VIP phone number and website to ensure prompt and reliable plumbing service by an expert 5-star technician. Why Beehive? Our Premier package comes with an industry-leading warranty, giving you up to 10 years of coverage on both parts and labor. Yeah, that's right, 10-year warranty. Call Beehive Plumbing today or visit beehivepremier.com for expert experience every time.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. Did you know that we offer 3 distinct styles of gutter protection? Each one meant to handle a specific leaf problem. You might not even know there are different styles of gutter protection, but there are. And if you pick the wrong one, it could be a huge waste of money. Now, the big gutter guard companies won't tell you this. They try to sell you a one-size-fits-all gutter guard. And it could be completely wrong for the amount and types of trees and leaves you have. Not RGS Exteriors. We understand which kind of leaf problem needs which kind of gutter guard. We'll do an in-depth evaluation to assess the types, locations, and numbers of trees in your yard. Based on that data, we match your home to the right gutter guard. So don't risk wasting money on the wrong gutter protection. For a free evaluation and estimate, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsexteriors.com. That's 801-280-3110 or rgsexteriors.com.
Breaking news on KSL News Radio. This is the second opinion to come down from the nation's highest court today. This is Moody, who is the Attorney General of Florida, versus NetChoice. And it involves a case from both Florida and Texas and laws that they passed trying to restrict social media companies' decisions about who gets to be on their platform or not. And legal analyst Greg Skordas joins me. What did the court say, Greg?
Well, I'm actually trying to read it right now, Amanda. It came out literally within the last few seconds. And I'll be honest, I can't see what they've done here. I mean, I'm trying to read the opinion here. There's a lot of blogs here about what they could do, what they might be doing. But I'll be honest, I haven't found the opinion yet.
Let me tell you just what I saw. It says the judgments are vacated and the cases are remanded because neither the 11th Circuit nor the 5th Circuit conducted a proper analysis of the facial First Amendment challenges to the Florida and Texas laws. So it sounds like, the 5th Circuit upheld the Texas law, reversing the district court, upheld the Texas law saying, what they're doing is not a First Amendment problem. But it looks like the High Court is saying, no, both of you missed the mark. So I'm sending it back down for you to put it through a factual analysis of some sort.
Yeah, and that's what it looks like here. Justice Kagan apparently wrote the majority opinion, and Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch dissented. But you had stated it just right, and you were way ahead of me today, Amanda.
No.
Not confusing at all. So Texas and Florida both had these regulations on social media moderation, concerns about whether or not social media platforms could, on their own, moderate content, whether that was a violation of the First Amendment. And the Supreme Court has sort of vacated what the lower courts have done, which is to preclude that and sort of send it back down to the other courts and see and sort of do a review, if you will.
So I wonder, and I bet you haven't had a chance to see this, but just in case, Greg, do we know now, will those laws from Texas and Florida be stayed while this continues back at the district court level, or do they go into effect?
No, that's. I think what's going to happen is they will be stayed pending the review by the two circuit courts, the one for Texas and the one for Florida, and to see kind of what they're going to do with this case.
Could be
You're
a long
right.
time.
They'll stay it.
Yeah,
yes, almost certainly.
Before we find out the ultimate decision, could be another year or more. We'll have to follow that. Stay close by, Greg, because we're still waiting for the big one this morning. So far, we have 2 cases from the U.S. Supreme Court. That is legal analyst Greg Skordas with me, and I'm sure we'll check back in with him throughout the hour. Coming up next, we will get another look at traffic and weather together here on KSL.
At JCW's, we think tipping might be getting a little out of hand. Like when you're asked to tip at the register before you've even been served, or when you're at the yogurt shop and find yourself serving yourself. And don't even get us started on frosted tips making a comeback. That's why at JCW's, when you pay for a 3rd-pound ranch bacon cheeseburger, that's what you pay. And no one at the register is going to stare longingly at you while you awkwardly maneuver through the tip screen for food you don't even have yet. Honestly, we're just happy to see you at any of our 5 locations in Provo, South Jordan, Lehigh, Harriman, and American Fork. So come on in and enjoy some quality time and great food with family and friends. And we promise, we won't be pushing you for a tip.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's, and we just want to say thank you, and especially to our loyal customers. We want you to know that at JCW's, your business is all the tip we need. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Utah news this summer.
will sizzle. July will mean a hot Republican convention, scalding temperatures, and the super cool announcement. For Salt Lake City 2034, keep updated each morning with Tim and Amanda from 5 to 9, Dave and Debbie and Boyd Matheson during the day, and Jeff Kaplan on the drive home from 3 to 7. Keep your KSL preset warm, and we'll report on every detail on KSL News Radio.
8:29, traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon, Andy.
Amanda, I-15 slowdowns are thinning out in areas. Now, the worst portions, you'll still see a couple extra minutes delay is right after Bangerter Highway's exit in Bluffdale, and then between about 7200 and 5300 south in Murray. We've got some delays along 45th south in Murray as well. Westbound traffic going over between 1100 east and 700 east running a bit busy. Heather?
Things are still moving along quite nicely, as it has been all morning long in Weber and Davis counties. No delays southbound I-15 from Ogden to Salt Lake. Occasionally, you might see a brake light around Beck Street or Warm Springs Road. If you want to transition onto Legacy Parkway or the West Side Belt to get to the airport, those are great options for you. Eric?
Big slowdowns eastbound I-80 from 700 east over to where a disabled truck is occupying. Looks like one right lane. Otherwise, we wouldn't have delays to this extent. At least part of a lane. It's over to the right side. I can tell you that much. Northbound on the 215 eastbound, you do have slowing approaching 3300 south. And if you head into the mountains eastbound I-80, you still got the one right lane blocked off by barrels as you go by the quarry out in Tooele County. No problems northbound SR36 heading up to the freeway. The Royal Court Pickleball Club in Harriman is the state's newest premier indoor pickleball facility. Learn more about pricing and reserving court time at RoyalCourtPickleballClub.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
All right, the weather forecast for today says a high of 87 degrees. Right now it's 72 downtown. Breaking news, the big case has come down. It's Trump versus United States, and it looks like the Supreme Court is going to support at least some of the immunity claims from the former president. Let's listen into CNN.
Sounded actually skeptical on the other side.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, because we saw a lot of these justices have worked for the executive branch, and so they obviously wanted to explore this question themselves to see, the question they ultimately posed, which wasn't really even discussed in the arguments, which was, do presidents have immunity, and if so, to what extent? Paula Reed, I know you've been listening to
Let
this
me interrupt
decision.
this
What
coverage for just a second, just to make sure you understand the holding. Here's what the court held. Under our constitutional structure of separated powers, the nature of presidential power entitles a former president to absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority. And he is entitled to at least presumptive immunity from prosecution for all his official acts. There is no immunity for unofficial acts. So this is interesting. So if it's part of his constitutional authority, the immunity is absolute. If it's if it's an official act but not a constitutional act, boy, that's going to be difficult to determine. Then he has presumptive immunity, and if it's an unofficial act, there is no immunity. Let's listen back into CNN.
Slim down case could go before the election. 3 reasons for that. One, the judge overseeing this, Judge Tanya Chutkan, she has signaled that the lawyers should get some lead time on this. I mean, we're a couple months out from the election. The idea of putting the Republican candidate for the presidency on trial, where he would have to be in court months, weeks before the election, that's something that would likely have us right here again before the Supreme Court. Also, the Attorney General, unlikely to allow something to go ahead that quickly, but we'll see. But right now, this decision, the Supreme Court finding that former presidents are entitled to absolute immunity for official acts, but not for unofficial acts. This opinion very, very long. It's going to take
Let me talk a little bit more about what an unofficial act is, according to the court. As for a president's unofficial act, there is no immunity. Although presidential immunity is required for official actions to ensure that the president's decision-making is not distorted by the threat of future litigation, that concern does not support immunity for unofficial conduct. But here's the key. The first step is deciding whether a former president is entitled to immunity from a particular prosecution to distinguish official from unofficial acts. And it reminds us that, look, the Supreme Court is the court of final review, not first view. So these threshold issues as to whether or not a president's conduct is official or unofficial and how to deal with it once you make that decision, The court it says we offer no guidance on those issues. Those issues are for the district court to deal with and then likely be appealed to the circuit court. When it comes back to us after a full record is developed, then we'll get a little more into what is official or what is unofficial. So it leaves that huge question open, but I'm still reading back to CNN for a little more discussion.
It seems like really needed to establish that the official acts of a president had to be protected. It says here, to enable the president to carry out his constitutional duties without undue caution. However, even the president's lawyers, as we were just talking about, acknowledged that some of the things that he was charged with were not official acts. And so it's clear here that there's at least some part of this indictment that he is facing from Jack Smith's case that even his own lawyers would not argue are official parts of the president's duties.
The Supreme Court could have ruled, and again, we're still reading this, but could have ruled determining, okay, this act was official, this act was not official. It sounds like at this stage, and again, we got to read this whole thing, that more than likely it's now just going to be pushed down to a lower
They
court.
did a little bit of both. I do have one part of this that I can read. The parts of the indictment that dealt with Trump's communications with the Justice Department, this court, the Supreme Court, said were official acts and therefore cannot be prosecuted. Because the president cannot be prosecuted for conduct within his exclusive constitutional authority, Trump is absolutely immune from prosecution for the alleged conduct involving his discussions with Justice Department officials. So that's part of the indictment. It does not cover, however, his discussions with then Vice President Pence. The court specifically says that the district court has to weigh in on the discussions with Vice President Pence and also Trump's discussions with state and local officials. Those discussions the district court will have to weigh in on.
We should point out, was using private attorneys to pursue his election
By the way, the
claims,
decision was delivered by Chief Justice Roberts. He delivered the opinion of the court. Justices Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh joined in full. Barrett joined except to a couple of sections. Thomas wrote a concurring opinion, so did Barrett. Sotomayor filed the dissenting opinion in which Kagan and Jackson concurred. We are going to take a break and come back, and I'll talk more with our legal analyst, Greg Skordas, about this huge decision. Absolute immunity for a president when he or she is engaged in their constitutional duties, but no presumption of immunity when it comes to an unofficial act. But it didn't define those. We'll take a break and be back on KSL.
Spend your workday with a talk show that makes you feel better about the news.
Debbie is the voice of reason, and Dave reminds me of my little brother. Well-spoken, and they're a great team together.
Dave and Debbie, live from 9 to noon, or podcast the show on the app for KSL News Radio.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
Check out AMCO's multiple financing options so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over, and if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
If you're just joining us, here is the big case from the U.S. Supreme Court involving former President Trump's claim of absolute immunity for official acts while in office, so immunity from criminal prosecution. And the court does recognize, it says, this case is the first criminal prosecution in our nation's history of a former president for actions taken during his presidency. And the court not only splits its view based on whether the acts are official or unofficial, it divides official acts into two categories. One is official acts that are part of his constitutional authority. For anything done that's part of his constitutional authority, the court holds that the president has absolute immunity from criminal prosecution. If it is an official act, but not part of his constitutional authority, he at least benefits from presumptive immunity from prosecution. But if it is an unofficial act, there is no immunity from criminal prosecution. I haven't had a chance to read all of it, so I'm still giving you just this summary. We do have some coverage from ABC. In fact, let me check traffic and weather together, and I'll be right back with that. Right now, 8:39, Traffic and Weather Together is brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And back to you, Andy.
Amanda, travel on I-15 has been pretty rough through the south end of the valley this morning. Right now, the main flow delays are almost gone in Bluffdale. There's still a little bit of traffic near Bangerter Highway's exit that's backed up, and we've got a little bit on the main flow near 7200 South. If you're trying to switch from I-15 to 215 and you're exiting off near 90th, that collector ramp is really backed up for at least a couple of miles before it thins as you get closer to the actual I-215 merge. And then we still have some heavy traffic between 33rd South and I-80 on I-15. Heather?
Our heaviest traffic right now in Weber County is in the Ogden area. This is on Harrison Boulevard between 30th and 24th Streets. That's both northbound and southbound. You'll see a little bit of congestion at some of the other larger intersections when lights turn red, but even that is easing up considerably from even half an hour ago. Southbound I-15 still has most of the traffic, but it's at freeway speeds from Ogden to Salt Lake. Eric?
Just past 700 East, if you're eastbound on I-80 this morning, you're going to run into delays, and it's going to be pretty significant. If you're planning on going all the way to the mouth of Parley's Canyon, you're going to have to add quite a bit of extra time, 15 to 20 minutes probably, to get past this semi that became disabled. It's over on the right side of eastbound I-80 approaching the Foothill Drive exit. Then into the canyons. Now we do have some eastbound delays where you've got the lanes restricted. This is around the quarry. The right lane is blocked off, and for a long time you went without delays going by there, but now they're starting to show up. Northbound on the 215 eastbound approaching the mouth of the canyon, you've also got slowdowns there going by 3300 South. When you choose Performance Automotive and Bountiful, you're choosing exceptional service from 4 dealers: Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, Performance Toyota, and Truck Country. See performancebountiful.com. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
Courtesy of a cool front today, we'll drop off 14 degrees from yesterday's high. 87 is what we're forecasting this afternoon with partly cloudy skies. Overnight, dropping off to 62, mostly clear skies. And tomorrow afternoon, 85 with sunshine. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, it is 72 degrees downtown. The decision from the Supreme Court this morning is our breaking news. The court held that a former president, like former President Trump, is entitled to absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for any act that is part of his constitutional authority. Presumptive immunity if it's an official act, and no immunity for unofficial acts. Let's listen into ABC Radio's coverage.
What would be crimes by a private person, they are untouchable. So the implications for the Oval Office are tremendous. The implications for Donald Trump's particular criminal prosecution means indefinite delays to sort out this line between official and unofficial conduct that the court broadly sketched out with some detail in its opinion.
As the Chief Justice writes in his opinion, the question is, what are official acts and what are unofficial acts? I'll read further from Chief Justice Roberts' majority opinion. Determining whether a former president is entitled to immunity from a particular prosecution requires applying the principles we've laid out to his conduct at issue. In other words, and this is my interpretation of the opinion, Roberts is creating a new test for the courts to determine what qualifies and what does not qualify as subject to prosecution. The first step, Roberts writes, is to distinguish his official from unofficial actions. But, as he points out in his opinion, no court has decided how to draw that distinction in the Trump case, which means that this will be the subject of further protracted back and forth between the parties when it comes to Trump's alleged conduct in the lead up to January 6th. Kim Whaley, how do you see that playing out?
I'm going to interrupt their coverage for just a moment just to emphasize that not only did the court make a distinction between official and unofficial, but within the area of official acts, we now have a test that requires distinguishing between constitutional authority and general official acts. which the district court will have to figure out. Greg Skordas, our legal analyst, will join me in just a bit. We're going to take a quick break and be back with his analysis here on KSL News Radio.
We have some exciting news to announce.
Master Electrical Service has joined Mountain Home Services.
And I can speak from experience, Deb. Mountain Home Services installed my furnace years ago, and it's been amazing.
And we know Master Electrical Service has been your trusted source for all your electrical needs, like your EV chargers, your generators, and recessed lighting.
But now that they've joined Mountain Home Services, they can help you with your HVAC, your heating and air, as well as your plumbing.
And it comes with that upfront pricing guarantee. I love the upfront pricing guarantee because it means no hidden fees.
100% satisfaction guarantee as well.
Master Electrical Service has been the name you trust since 1954.
They're the company we trust, and so can you.
Check them out now at mountainhomeutah.com.
That's mountainhomeutah.com, or give them a call at 801-543-2222. So easy to remember, 801-543-2222.
Hi friends, Dan the Laptop Man here from PC Laptops. I get a lot of emails with feedback from customers. Here's one. Dear Dan, I just had the best experience ever. I bought a computer from Shane at your State Street store. I asked several what I thought were really stupid questions. Shane was super courteous and made me feel comfortable through the whole process. People need to understand how important it is to support a local company, especially when your experience is so good. PC Laptops really does love me. Signed, Satisfied. I love hearing feedback like that. It really just gives me the chills. It's the whole reason why I got into the computer business in the first place. You can get a brand new PC Laptops desktop, and they start at only $29 a month. And it comes with a lifetime warranty. That means if anything goes wrong, we're going to take care of you. Just check us out at PCLaptops.com. That's PCLaptops.com. At PC Laptops, we really do love you.
Today is a historical day in many ways, a decision from the Supreme Court about whether or not a president is immune from criminal prosecution for acts committed while in office. And the court breaks it down into several categories. Our legal analyst, Greg Skordas, joins us now. Help us understand this, Greg.
Yeah, so, and by the way, thanks for giving me a minute to read this. I know they're coming fast and furious. But yeah, the court gave a three-part test in deciding whether or not a president has immunity. And they said that if the president is acting within what they call his core constitutional powers, in other words, powers that are delineated and articulated for him in the Constitution, that he has absolute immunity. If the president is acting under what his official acts as a president, in other words, things that we assume that they can do, things that Congress and the Supreme Court has allowed him to do through history, that they're presumed to have immunity, and the government would have to overcome that. And third, if it's an unofficial act, in other words, not related to the presidency, just something he did while he happened to be president, that there's no immunity. Now, having said that three-part test, what they did is what you might expect. They kicked it down to the lower court and said, find out which of these three provisions applied. Was he acting under a core constitutional powers? Was it an official act? Or was it an unofficial act? Because that will make a huge difference in deciding what level and if he has immunity at all.
When I think of core constitutional powers, Greg, I think of, the execution and enforcement of the laws created by Congress. But that's so broad, I'm not sure how you'd interpret that.
Right. But the court, and it's a long opinion. I mean, we're reading concurring opinions, and it's sort of along the lines you might expect with the conservative and liberals. But they do give a lot of direction in terms of just looking at what the authority of the president is, looking at the history of the Constitution, looking at what acts presidents have engaged in historically in helping a lower court judge, decide which level of immunity, if at all, would apply to President Trump in this particular case. And of course, we're talking about the January 6th insurrection case.
So what happens now, Greg?
So it goes back to the trial court because what happened was that it was set for trial. He's been charged with these crimes. They said, his attorney said, hey, he's got immunity. The judge said, no, he doesn't. They appealed that. It's now at the Supreme Court. Supreme Court said, well, he might. You need to decide what authority he had when he exercised this act, what he was doing. Was he inciting a riot? That certainly wouldn't be within his authority as president, or was he trying to enforce the laws as they relate to the transition of powers? Was he trying to make the elections be treated fairly and openly? If so, maybe that is within his powers. So, yeah, I think they're going to look closely at what his conduct was and what applies here.
And those decisions would be made based on written argument, oral argument before the district court judge. How long of a process is that, do you think?
Well, it's almost certain not to occur before the election, and so that all might be not. If he's elected, he would almost certainly have this case dismissed by his Justice Department. But yeah, I think the government and the Trump team are going to try to get this in front of the judge. Well, at least the government will as soon as possible. I think Trump and his team will try to stall it as much as possible. We'll just see how aggressive the judge is in getting a hearing sometime in the next maybe 30 to 60 days.
So interesting.
And like you said, and have them articulate which side more appropriately applies.
Greg, I'm sure we'll be coming back to you shortly here for more analysis. This is the big decision from the U.S. Supreme Court on presidential immunity. The court creates a three-part test that we'll be explaining throughout the day, and you can also get more at KSLNewsRadio.com. Right now, 8:49, traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And back to you, Andy.
Amanda, travel on I-15 delays are clear in Draper on the main flow. They're still heavy on I-15 to main flow. Might be an extra couple of minutes to get between 114th and 90th south over what it would the rest of the time. But it will take you an extra few minutes if you're switching from I-15 to 215, as that collector ramp's been clogged up from an earlier crash. Traffic backed up at 215 and now getting worse between 53rd and 45th south in Murray. Heather?
We've remained accident-free all morning long throughout Weber and Davis counties. Not really a lot to talk about. There's no accidents, no major backups anywhere. You may run into some congestion at some of your bigger intersections. That's very typical this time of the morning. But if you're hopping on a freeway, you're going to be free and clear whether you're north, south, east, or west. Eric?
Couple of major spots of slowdowns now. Eastbound I-81 is from just past 700 East over to where a tanker truck stalled out over on the right side, and that's really caused things. That's just before the Foothill Drive exit. You're going to be slow that whole way from Sugar House. And then past that, you get into the mountains, and then you've got delays again because you've got the right lane blocked off right around the quarry, and that has at least 2 miles of delays now going through there. Northbound on the 215 East Belt, slow there, entering the mouth of the canyon area, and that's approaching 3300 south. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and plumbing needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air. Eric Butler in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. 14 degrees cooler than yesterday. We'll go for a high of 87 and partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, down to 85. What a pleasant July day. Sunny skies for your Tuesday. Wednesday, popping back up to 90, sunny skies. We'll go mostly sunny for your 4th of July Thursday. 87 for a high. Looks terrific. Friday, 91, sunny skies. We'll go to 94 on Saturday. Sunday, we keep the sunshine, 97. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Right now, 72 degrees, and the 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. The case from the Supreme Court today on presidential immunity. The court held that a former president is entitled to absolute immunity if he is committing acts that are part of his core constitutional authority. Presumptive immunity for all other official acts and no immunity for unofficial acts. We'll get more analysis in just a moment here on KSL News Radio.
For over 80 years, Farm Bureau Financial Services has been protecting farmers and ranchers season after season.
You need to know you're covered and you've got somebody covering your back.
You've got local people that everybody knows.
And we have a good policy and a good agent, and I guess that's what you need to be able to sleep at night.
Loyal, local, and rooted in ag for over 80 years. Learn more at fbfs.com/rootedinag. It's your future. Let's protect it.
Give the star in your life the brightest gift in the world. Name a star after them. This is Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $59 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, you can name a star for birthdays, weddings, or even memorials. Over 45 years, we have named millions of stars for celebrities and individuals from around the world. The star you name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Visit starregistry.com or call 800-282-3333.